This video contains subject matter that may be offensive and disturbing to some people. If you are the type to require a warning throughout a video or show, let this message serve as your warning. This channel discusses the harsh reality of true crime. If this warning is not sufficient for you, consider a different genre and unsubscribe from my channel immediately. Hello, what's going on, everybody? The Freaks, and thank you up there to Teresa Murray, Cindy Leon, K-Me, and oh, jeez, and Caligal 3. And Mag. So my stepkids, we're just trying to get them any kind of work over here to start getting some sort of work experience. So they both just got they're working at Taco Bell right off the bat. Like, you know what I can't believe though, is Taco Bell in Portland pays $16.50 an hour. It's like, man, when I was a kid, or not even just a kid, just 10 years ago, stuff like that was like, I think 8 something. So it's way up there. So that was it's pretty amazing that so at least they're doing something. They've just kind of been sitting around trying to figure out something, and I think you just got to get moving, and while you're working you figure it out, and then you look for other things, and you just keep moving along. You don't just, the longer you sit around, the more that becomes the norm. So that's pretty cool, but that's pretty wild though. $16.50 an hour for I couldn't believe it. So I guess that's what the rate is over here in Portland. So yeah, it's kind of like the starter job. One of them does computers, like an IT type, but hasn't finished schooling. So we're actually probably gonna send him back to the Philippines to finish, because he started there and he could just finish and then come back and already have the degree to then, IT. We'll see. Maybe we'll do something different. Yeah, it's cool just that they're, both of them are going to be working at the same place. About a quarter mile from their house. They just walk over there, and, so they're pretty excited just because they're going to be doing something. They've been here for a month and a half, and, first you got to get acclimated and all that stuff, and they've been applying and so forth, but we'll just see how it goes. All right, I wanted to show you guys this crazy story, absolutely unbelievable. Let me close out of some of this stuff. Oops, just a second. I mean, I thought it was one of the wildest things I've ever seen. Yeah, dude, look at this thing right here. Like, when you look at this picture, you think, hold on a second. When you look at this picture right here, you think, oh, this lady, she got injured in like she's in a hospital and somebody's looking at her. But it's facts about the 500-year-old Incan woman mummies that are both haunting and fascinating. I mean, it's absolutely unbelievable. Like, you can actually zoom in here. I think there's a tattoo on her on her elbow here. And it says 3 500-year-old mummies were discovered on the summit of the name of a volcano in Chile's border with Argentina in 1999. They were youngsters. The eldest, known as the Ice Maiden, was only 13 years old. The link's in the description so you can read about it. But look at this, how crazy this is. Even the weaved hair. I mean, all of it's weaved in like you see today. And that's her right there. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I just think that's absolutely incredible. You know, even maintain the skin tone. It was like really cold and dry, and just preserve them. Like there, you can see the face isn't perfect or anything. But look at the hair there. I mean, just absolutely perfectly braided all the way down. Using hair, researchers gained a wealth of information about the mummy's former lives. Discovered 13-year-old Ice Maiden lengthy, beautifully braided hair provided significant evidence to experts. Hair serves as a record of what is happening in a person's life. Scientists investigating the mummies were able to piece together a timeline of the children's final year of life because it grew at a steady rate of roughly 1 centimeter every month. An examination of the children's hair indicated that they ate, with their diets shifting to include higher-end items such as beef and maize. It also revealed that their consumption of corn-based beer and cocoa and grown peaking in various intervals throughout the year. This was said to have tied to their participation as festivals before their sacrifice, as well as their preparation for death. So they were sacrificed back then, and that's one of the kids right there. I mean, look how it's just unbelievable. Anyways, you can go read all about it in the description down there. But I just thought that's too amazing to not bring up. I mean, that is just insane. Maybe that's what the original. I don't know if that was the original, but anyways, there you go. What's that? Breaking news? Ooh, hold on. I guess there's breaking news in Dylan Rounds that Amanda just sent me. Criminal charges filed in Dylan Rounds missing person case. Ooh. I just came across, just got sent to me 1 hour ago, old here too. So, here, maybe I should change put Dylan Rounds in the title so people can see this part. Dylan Rounds charges. Criminal charges have officially been filed in the case of a 19-year-old Lucian man missing since May 2022. Dylan Rounds was reported missing by family members on May 30th, 2022 from the property he was living at while farming grain. We know all that part. James Brenner, 59, has been charged with 1 count of aggravated murder. That's the guy, right? The one that was trying to hide the guns and everything. A first-degree felony and 1 count of abuse or desecration of a human body. A third-degree felony in connection with the disappearance of Rounds. According to probable cause statement in charging documents, during search efforts to locate Rounds, deputies discovered a pair of boots belonging to the victim nearby, and that one boot had a blood stain that DNA analysis confirmed belonged to the victim, in addition to DNA belonging to defendant. Oh, well, there you go. The victim's phone records were obtained by investigators, showed movement of the day of his disappearance on a remote property in Lucin where defendant was squatting. Phone data showed that the last signal from the victim's phone was at the Lucin Pond, and a search. I remember that was mentioned in one of the interviews with East Idaho News. And a search of the pond led to the discovery of the victim's phone. A digital forensic download of the phone was conducted and led to the discovery of a time-lapse video with the timestamp taken at the time of the victim's disappearance. Wow, a time-lapse video. The video showed defendant with blood stains on his arms What, he accidentally hit the record button as he is... Wow, this is crazy. So the video showed defendant with blood stains on his arms and shirt as he is cleaning a gun. The shirt which defendant is wearing in the video was analyzed, and this is another case where just some random video is going to help solve it. And it said, the shirt which defendant is wearing in the video was analyzed and the victim's DNA was found on the shirt. Brenner was interviewed and made several claims that corroborated forensic evidence in addition to making numerous demonstrable false statements as stated in court documents. Despite a thorough investigation and extensive search, the victim's body was not recovered due to the defendant removing and concealing it. After Rounds went missing, authorities found Brenner squatting in a trailer on a parcel of land 5 miles away from where Rounds was living by himself in a camp trailer while he farmed grain. After Rounds went missing, Brenner was interviewed by authorities on June 7th and was later named a suspect. On June 16th, Box Elder County Sheriff's Office also... I think we've already gone over all this stuff here, but I'd like to see the... If anybody can find the actual probable cause document, send it over. That'd be great. So there you go. Finally! Finally. They got the answers. Took too long, though, Like 9 months? How long ago did they have that video? All right. So, yes, everybody. Tonight we're just gonna play the sentencing hearing and then the interview with Harpootlian and Jim. The hell's his last name? His name just left my brain. And then we're gonna move on to this crazy case that somebody sent me a while ago. But like I always say on this channel, if you'd like to help support the channel, it relies completely on your guys' generosity and wanting to help support the channel. And then I take a large chunk of that during the month and after the month to send into, because I want to, various charities and true crime related stuff. I was actually thinking of sending one maybe into like the Wounded Warriors, even though that's not really like true crime, but I'm sure we have a lot of military people in here, and I know Scouting Dude was in the military. Maybe he would appreciate something like that. What do you guys think of that? I mean, I have the same respect for law enforcement and military and all of them, so. Well, sweet. Let's do it. All right. So thank you, Caligal3. So if you guys can help to support the channel, that would be absolutely awesome. You can become a channel member or super chats or PayPals, all that stuff helps support the channel. I've got all the notebooks are sent out, by the way. So everybody, I think I've sent out 40 something. And if you want a notebook, you send 25 to PayPal, you get a notebook and 2 freak pens. If you want the notebook and the stress ball, you just send in 30, and you get the 2 pens, the notebook, and this stress ball right here. That's not the real one. I wrote freak on there myself. That's what you get right there. Just like the beginning of the show animation. All right. There you go. Hey, thanks, Jamie. And yeah, there's no ad revenue on live streamers. It's very rare. Some people claim that's why they say stuff like unalived and everything, in the same time saying they're just really concerned about people's... Yeah. Hey, thanks, Skeet. And Jamie and Irene Cipher. Simple Life Days, Caligal3. Thank you. All right, so here we go. We're going to play. Let me get to the different monitor. This one's better. Has it zoomed in on that. Hey, Skeet. Thank you. I thought the judge was awesome in here. He was so good. Let me get rid of these. There's no phone lines aren't open or anything. So. All right. Well, I'm going to do sometime during this month. I'll donate $1,000 to the Wounded Warriors.
I'll be Chewbacca if you want me to.
How about the sheriff's
Gotta build
not in
up.
agreement with the judge?
Thank you, Paul Hallett. It is, in fact,
It's a house!
that's right, a jailhouse, but a bing!
It is, in fact, a house.
Thanks, Bubblegum. All right, here we go. Let's get playing it. And if my computer crashes, because like I always say, when I use Adobe Premiere, I'll be back on in less than 5 minutes. So just hang out. I'll be right back. All right. Sometimes when you're doing this Adobe Premiere thing, though, it just there's some kind of. They even sent out a message one day saying, "Yeah, we had this. Yeah, well, why don't you fix it?" Hey, thanks, Bubblegum, for your comment. I usually watch in silence. Amazing channel. Thank you.
I usually watch in silence.
There you go.
Amazing channel. Thank you for the facts and humor.
You know what's weird is how many of you sound exactly the same with your voice. Yeah, every time I hear that, it's like, wow, you sound just like the other person. You know, it's like an Australian or some sort of. Oh, are you? Okay, cool, Scouting Dude. So, is that a good one? I mean, I'm just want to know, is that one that you think is a really solid, great organization? Yeah. Okay, awesome. All right.
Good morning. Party's ready to proceed?
State's ready, Your Honor.
Bench is ready, Your Honor.
All right, from the state, Mr. Waters.
Thank you, Your Honor. We're obviously here in the sentencing for the state versus Richard Alexander Murdaugh.
Oh wait, hold on.
I have
Actually, I fixed the audio, but I forgot to put it in here because I got really busy. Unlink and remove these clips, and then I'll put the one in that I made. Should be right there. There we go. Slide it in there. Okay. This should be much louder and all the audio sound clear. Hey, thank you very much, Flora Morena. Thank you for all the work you did. So we could review the Yeah, I mean, I think it was cool because I think we are probably the most caught up and know all the details of the Murdaugh case more than most any other just regular true crime streamer, unless you were one of the people that went out and watched it all day. I mean, there's a lot of us that watched the whole trial, but we actually played basically the whole trial just at 1.5 and sometimes at 1.75 speed. I think 1.75 is a little quick, but it seemed to work, you know.
Thank you for all the work you did, so we could review the Murdaugh case together. I always look forward to spending time with all my family freaks. Two hearts, smiley face.
Well, very cool. And welcome to all the new members that have come in lately. And thank you, Jim Lawn, also right there. Jim Lawn is the one at the beginning of the show yesterday that I forgot.
Freaks behind them.
Okay, so here we go. This is with the fixed audio. Might be kind of loud, so let me... audio gain -2.
Good morning.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Party's ready to proceed?
State's ready, Your Honor.
Bench is ready, Your Honor.
That's pretty loud. Let me make it smaller.
All right, from the state, Mr. Waters.
Thank you, Your Honor. We're obviously here in the sentencing for the state versus Richard Alexander Murdaugh. Your Honor, I have prepared the sentencing sheets signed up. If I can
And you see how it goes black like that? That's what the stream was doing.
hand those up to the clerk. Your Honor, very quickly, the defendant has no prior record, and the state has no victim impact people who want to speak at this time. But I will address the court briefly. And I don't need Your Honor to repeat the evidence that Your Honor just heard for the past 6 weeks, but it is overwhelming, and it shows this man to be a cunning manipulator, a man who placed himself above all others, including his family, a man who violated the trust of so many, including his friends, his family, his partners, his profession, but most of all, Maggie and Paul. This is a very complicated situation, and I want to offer my condolences to the family that has suffered here. We have tried very hard to be respectful and sensitive regardless of what position any person took, because this family has suffered and they've had to suffer in the public eye, and I want to offer my condolences to this family. I want to offer it for Maggie and Paul and Mr. Randolph too, who I had the pleasure of working with on one occasion. But the reality remains is that despite all this attention, this case is about Maggie Murdaugh and Paul Murdaugh, and I'm so thankful that the jurors gave them a voice. You heard about Paul. Obviously there was the boat case, but you also heard him described as a fun-loving young man, a person who loved life, a person who would do anything for his friends, for anyone. And he's cut down as he was just starting to live his life. You heard about Maggie. You heard how sweet she was. You heard that she was a girl's girl who adapted to the outdoorsman life of her sons, how much she loved her sister and her brother-in-law and their children. And she was cut down in the prime of her life. Both of them, like everyone else, was unaware of who he really was. No one who thought they knew this man, no one who thought they were close to this man knew who he really was. And Your Honor, that's chilling. And I've looked in his eyes, and he liked to stare me down as he would walk by me during this trial. And I could see the real Alex Murdaugh when he looked at me. The depravity, the callousness, the selfishness of these crimes are stunning. The lack of remorse and the effortless way in which he lies, including here sitting right over there in this witness stand.
Oh, by the way, it turns out that when they first went back to the jury room, there was 2 not guilty and 1 undecided, and within 45 minutes, see, when they say not guilty, I think they just were like, yeah, not guilty, and then in the 45 minutes they all came together and went, oh yeah, geez, yep. That's kind of stunning to me that there was even 2 that were in the not guilty camp. I mean, it's just, God, how in the hell?
Your Honor, a man like that, a man like this man, should never be allowed.
Oh, and apparently the one that was, Fitsnews reported that the one that was removed was going to be a not guilty and a holdout, and it would have been a hung jury. But then later I heard it wasn't quite like that. It wasn't nearly as strong like that. It was just that she had questions. So that's a big difference.
To be among free, law-abiding citizens again. And I would submit to you that the only just sentence here to give justice for Maggie and Paul is the maximum. And that would be 2 consecutive life sentences. Thank you, Your Honor.
You indicate that no victim would like to speak at this time. Would any victim like to speak at any time during these proceedings?
Your Honor, one of the things we did, and we did early on, obviously, as I just said, it's a very complicated situation, but we made the decision early on. We've had our victim advocate here who's been doing a wonderful job, regardless of the viewpoints of any individual family member, to provide aid and service to them, and we made that decision. I'm informed by our victim advocate that none of them wish to speak. The defense can certainly address that, but that's what I'm informed. But they certainly were offered the opportunity as is required, and I want to commend our victim advocate on the excellent job she did in handling this complex situation that we wanted to be sensitive to, because again, I am not, none of us are not mindful of the fact of the suffering of this family.
I thought it was like, it didn't really say anything about like, oh, the family, they just hate his kids. It's more like they have to be in the camp that he's innocent until all of the appeals are exhausted. So they have to maintain that. So what would they say? Yeah. I mean, I think Buster knows, you know, I think Buster knows that his dad, I mean, I think he's known this whole time, and he just made a decision one day. His dad, here's what I think his dad did. Buster, hey Buster, I was out of my mind on drugs. I didn't know what I was doing, but I'm better now. So that wasn't really me that did the killing. That's what I told you guys a couple, 2 weeks ago. Don't you remember that? Like 2 or 3 weeks ago when I said that Alec on the stand doesn't think. That's why he said the comment the other day when he said, let's see, I wouldn't intentionally do anything. I wouldn't intentionally kill them. And so what that means is that, yeah, it wasn't intentional, but in your mind, his subconscious mind, he was saying, but while he was on the drugs, he did. So he justifies to himself that whole trial that it wasn't him that did the murders. It was the version of him on drugs, much like a Timmy, for example. It's like it wasn't really, Paul's fault in the boating accident. It was Timmy. You know, the real Paul is the one that doesn't drink. Like father, like son.
Legislative Chief Mark Keel is here. Would you like to address the court on any matters, Chief?
No, sir. Just to say, again, we're proud of our agents, the work they've done, and proud of the partnership
Thank you, Danielle.
we've had with the Attorney General's office as we've had for many years. And again, we're here to see the justice is served, and we believe it has been. Thank you.
Thank you. For the defense.
Your Honor, Mr. Griffin and I would have no comment. The defendant would like to address the court, though.
Mr. Murdaugh.
Yeah, we just talked about Dylan Rounds a minute. It's just a quick article. There was that, hell, I forgot his name. What was his name that was just arrested? It's been so long since I've covered that. There's been nothing.
Morning, Your Honor.
James Brenner.
I'm innocent.
There you go, James Brenner.
I would never hurt my wife.
It came to my
Maggie,
mind. Can you believe
and I would
it?
never hurt my son, Paw.
There you go. There you go.
Thank you.
Yep. Still confident there. Yep.
Mr. Murdaugh.
Morning, Your Honor. I'm innocent. I would never hurt my wife, Maggie, and I would never hurt my son, Paw.
Yeah. Your son, Papa. You never called him that once during any interview. You're full of
Thank you, Your
shit.
Honor.
Thank you.
And every time he said that little stupid little head nod thing, that means he's lying.
Sit down.
Anything further?
I don't think further comment is necessary, Your Honor. Thank you.
Mr. Murdaugh, if you'll come before the court for sentencing. This has been perhaps one of the most troubling cases, not just for me as a judge, for the state, for the defense team, but for all of the citizens in this community, all the citizens in this state, and as we've seen based on the media coverage throughout the nation. You have a wife who's been killed, murdered, a son savagely murdered, a lawyer, a person from a respected family who has
That's right,
controlled
Scott, dude.
justice in this
Thank you very much,
community
Scott.
for over a century, a person whose grandfather's portrait hang at the back of the courthouse that I had to have ordered removed in order to ensure that a fair trial was had by both the state and the defense. And I've sat through the trial. Not only have I sat through the trial, but also as the presiding judge of the state grand jury, sat through and participated in the issuance of search warrants of various sorts, bond hearings, and have had to consider many things. And we have this case, and I'm also assigned to preside over, is it 99 others? At least 99 other cases.
So I guess he's going to serve over all of the financial ones. Oh, there it is, Scouting Dude, who said, Judge Smackdown begins. And here it is, yep.
Judge Smackdown begins.
Though testimony has come up regarding many of those other cases, I will not make any comment with regard to any other pending matter, as I have been assigned those cases as well. It's also particularly troubling, Mr. Murdaugh, because as a member of the legal community, and a well-known member of the legal community, you've practiced law before me, and we've seen each other at various occasions throughout the years. And it was especially heartbreaking for me to see you go in the media from being a grieving father who lost a wife and a son to being the person indicted.
Yeah, well, they're always unnecessary, though, Danielle. This is just something that, it doesn't make him a screw-up. It makes him a psycho. He's one of the few, they're not very common, but there's been a lot of them throughout the years. He's a psycho. He put his own self in front of, and his preservation of identity and sort of like how people perceived him above the lives of his child and his wife.
And convicted of killing them. And you've engaged in such duplicitous conduct here in the courtroom, here on the witness stand, and as established by the testimony throughout the time leading from the time of the indictment and prior to the indictment throughout the trial to this moment in time. Certainly, you have no obligation.
I mean, I do feel bad for Buster in this way. He doesn't have a mother or a father, basically, anymore. And he never will, because even if this case is somehow overturned and goes back to trial somehow,
I loved everything Judge Newman
he's going to be in prison for decades, and he'll probably die in prison from the financial crimes.
To say anything other than saying not guilty.
Yeah,
and
or
obviously
brother,
his appeals are
he doesn't have anybody.
Probably expected or absolutely expected. I would not expect a confession of any kind. In fact, as I've presided over murder cases over the past 22 years, I have yet...
And another thing too, is going to be hard for Buster to get a good job, I would think, unless it's through a family member, which I think that's probably what it'll end up being. Because who would want to hire the son of a absolute psycho murderer and then have people go, wow, you hired... Yeah, it would just be horrible PR.
To find a defendant who could go there, who could go back to that moment in time when they decided to pull the trigger or to otherwise murder someone. I have not been able to get anyone, any defendant, even those who have confessed to being guilty, to go back and explain to me what happened at that moment in time when they opted to pull the trigger, when they opted to commit the most heinous crimes known to man. In this case, qualifies under our death penalty statute, based on the statutory aggravating circumstances of two or more people being murdered by the defendant by one act or pursuant to one scheme or course of conduct. I don't question at all the decision of the state not to pursue the death penalty. But as I sit here in this courtroom and look around the many portraits of judges and other court officials and reflect on the fact that over the past century, your family, including you, have been prosecuting people here in this courtroom, and many have received the death penalty.
That's such an awesome, sort of powerful thing that you just said there. You know, what he's basically saying is, if the prosecution hadn't taken the death penalty off the table, I would have given it to you.
Probably for lesser conduct.
Yeah, so he's even saying for even lesser conduct that those people did than what you did, they got the death penalty. Welcome, Bubblegum.
Remind me of the expression you gave on the witness stand. Was it tangled?
Tangled web. What a tangled web we weave.
Oh, what tangled web we weave. What did you mean by that?
Meant when I
think it's just interesting that he's just now just conversing with Alec.
lied, I continue to lie.
And the question is, when will it end? When will it end? And it's ended already for the jury, because they've concluded that you continued to lie and lied throughout your testimony. And perhaps with all the throng of people here, they, for the most part, all believe, or 80-90%.
See, what Mary P's doing is the old Star Trek episode where they tried to confuse the computer, and so Spock told one of the androids, everything that I tell you is a lie. Then immediately says, I'm lying right now. Then he said, well, if everything you're telling me is a lie and you're lying now, right now, that's the truth. But if everything that you say is a lie, then how could it be the truth? So bang, and he got stuck in a circle, never-ending circle, and that's what I can't remember. Mary P was referring to.
99% believe that you continue to lie now when your statement of denial to the court. Perhaps you believe that it does not matter, that there's nothing that can mitigate a sentence given the crimes that were committed. You know, a notice of alibi was filed in this case by counsel in November, and we conducted a hearing, pretrial hearing, in which you claimed to have been someplace else at the time the crime was committed. Then, after all of the witnesses placed you at the scene of the crime, at the last minute, or last minutes or days, you switched courses and admitted to being there. And then that necessitated more lies and continued to lie. And I said, where will it end? It's already ended for many who have heard you and concluded that it'll never end. But within your own soul, you have to deal with that. And I know you have to.
Ben Hills and Donnie R.
See Paul and Maggie during the night times when you're attempting to go to sleep. I'm sure they come and visit you. I'm sure.
So now he's saying he probably has visions of Paul and Maggie in his
Thanks
mind.
for the trial coverage, Gray. I love the way you've done it, and I hope you do it again in the future.
Yeah, hopefully, if we do another one, I hope it's not, like 6 weeks long. That would suck. And Donnie R says, cheers to Bubba.
Cheers to Bubba, the real hero in this case. If Bubba hadn't grabbed that chicken causing Alex to yell, the defense would have used Pawpaw's video to show that Alex wasn't there.
But isn't Rogan also a hero? Because Rogan's the one that asked Paul to film it. And sure, he would have filmed that. And then the next hero is the dog, Bubba, because then the Bubba grabbed a bird, and then you hear Alec in the background. So it's like both of them, right? And I guess Paul, just for the fact that he recorded it, even though it was bad service, he recorded it anyways and was going to send it later, but he never got to.
Okay,
Thank
every
you,
night.
Kristen Russell.
Sure. And they continue to do so. And reflect on the last time they looked you in the eyes, as you looked the jury in the eyes. I don't know person who's always been such a gregarious, friendly person and cause your life to be tangled in such a weave web, such a situation that yours have spun into.
What's an odd thing to say? You got to type in the full sentence so that people know what you're talking about.
And it's so unfortunate because you had such a lovely family of such friendly people, including you, and to go from that to this.
It was the drugs, I tell you.
You know, your license to practice law has been stripped away from you. You turned from lawyer to witness, and now have an opportunity to make your final appeal as an ex-lawyer. And it's almost, it's really surprising that you're waiving this right at this time. And if you opt to do so, it's on you. You're not compelled to say anything. But you have the opportunity to do so.
And I think the judge might be wanting to get this in there so that even if there's appeal, he doesn't have an out because he confessed. But, you know, I think they're basically, this is what I said the other day before Harpootlian and them, they're going to do the appeal on the allowing of the financial crimes that were supposed to be used for motive only, but they were certainly, the sheer number of them had an effect on the character, and even in the closing arguments, character was used because they said things like, let's see, he looked into those people's eyes and he lied to them. Well, that's pure character, right? So you wonder, like, how is that all going to play out later when somebody's reviewing it? But you might want to go with the jury. Did the jury, is that a big part of the case, or was it really the video and other things?
Judge, I tell you again, I respect this court, but I'm innocent. I would never, under any circumstances, hurt my wife Maggie. And I would.
This guy is pretty awesome over here. He can't control his head shakes and his things like that.
Never, under any circumstances, hurt my son, Paul.
Well, and it might not have been you. It might have been.
See, right when he said that, you were like, what?
The monster you become when you take 15, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60.
Yeah. You know what the best part about that is like right here.
Paul.
Well, and it might not have been you.
He was probably like, wow, holy crap. Okay, he's giving me an out. He's giving me an out, everybody. Well, this is great. He thinks there might be somebody else.
It might have been.
Oh, Timmy.
The monster you become when
You're Timmy.
Take 15, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 opioid pills.
That's what I said
Maybe
like 3 weeks ago
person.
when we were watching the trial.
I've seen that before.
That's what his excuse was.
The person standing before me was not the person who committed the crime, though it's the same individual. We'll leave that at that. Before announcing sentence on these cases, with regard to all of the other pending cases, are any of them here in Colleton, or I'm sure some of them are?
Yes, sir.
Half of them, or?
I don't have that in front of me, but there are a substantial number of charges here. There's some in Hampton, Orangeburg, Beaufort, Allendale. There may be others that I'm not thinking of right now.
I hope he just confesses to the financial crimes. What a waste of time.
We might have worn out our welcome here in Colleton.
Colleton's been great.
They have been, and I'll take this opportunity to thank Sheriff Hill and all of the court officials and really everyone I've met and dealt with while here in Colleton County. Just been great. But without any delay, we're going to schedule some of the other matters.
Hey, where's Dan Carr? I haven't seen Dan Carr for a while.
Scheduling is complicated, and you've sacrificed quite a bit to be able to be here defending Mr. Murdaugh, as well as the Attorney General's office with all the other many things and obligations you have. And to be able to have the Attorney General here,
yeah, we know that.
Alan Wilson, for the period of time that he's devoted to being here, along with everyone else, it's been quite a sacrifice. But there are other victims whose cases deserve to be heard. And this case has jumped some of those cases, perhaps jumped it because of this case resulting in an assault
No, he can say what he wants to say. He was found guilty.
On the integrity of the judicial system in our state, law enforcement in our state.
You know, what I was thinking the other day was that remember the shooting, the fake shooting on the side of the road that we knew was fake the second we read it. I think that he told the police it was a shotgun. It was a shotgun. It sounded like a shotgun. What? Maybe he was trying to hand. I wonder if he showed up to the scene with already the wound on his face, and all he wanted to do, and you know what I think? I think he injured himself on the head. He fired the shotgun back somewhere else, maybe at Moselle. Then he met Uncle Eddie, or Cousin Eddie, and he wanted to get him to grab the gun to put Uncle or Cousin Eddie's fingerprints and DNA on that gun, and then later would put it somewhere where it could be found and say, oh, there it is, and the ballistics would match somehow the shooting at the crime scene, and everything would be blamed on him. What do you think about that? Doesn't that make some sense? Because at trial we heard about, he said it was a shotgun, and Cousin Eddie was confused about what was going on there, and he wasn't killed. I actually think that's probably what was going to be going down there. Thanks, Melissa South.
Even during this trial, the law enforcement have been maligned for the past 5 or 6 weeks by one who had access to the wheels of justice, to be able to deflect the investigation. And as the evidence is pointed out in this case, the looming storm that Mr. Waters talked about, I can just imagine on that day, June 7th, when a lawyer is confronted and confesses to having stolen over $500,000 from a client, and he has a tagger like Mark Tinsley on his tail pursuing discovery in the case involving the death of Mallory Beach, and having a father, for the most part, on his deathbed. I could imagine, I really can't imagine, but I know it had to have been quite a bit.
He's on other YouTube trial videos where he's exactly the same.
Going through your mind on that day.
Like, he actually had a case where the mother of somebody sentenced to life in prison without parole, but right before that she tried to talk and say he's innocent, and he goes, I won't listen. If you want to tell me other things, that's great, but you're not going to sit here and tell me that he's not guilty. I mean, he just kept going on and on. He wouldn't let her. He just kept blocking her every time she wanted to say that in the impact statement.
But amazingly, to have you come and testify that it was just another ordinary day, that my wife and son and I were out just enjoying life. Not credible, not believable. You can convince yourself about it, but obviously you have the inability to convince anyone else about that. So if you made any such arguments as a lawyer, you would lose every case like that. Cases you will never have an opportunity to argue anymore, except perhaps your own as you sit in the Department of Corrections. Anything further?
No, sir.
All right, Mr. Murdaugh, I sentence you to the State Department of Corrections on each of the murder indictments. In the murder of your wife, Maggie Murdaugh, I sentence you for a term of the rest of your natural life. For the murder of Paul Murdaugh, whom you probably love so much, I sentence you to prison for murdering him for the rest of your natural life.
See,
those sentences will run.
See, notice how he didn't say he loved his wife, because I think that's exactly, you know, when we're watching the show, he kept saying that you can tell he doesn't give a damn about Maggie because he never shed a tear, really. But for Paul, he seemed to actually get upset with snot coming down his face because he probably feels bad that he killed his son. And yet he still did it because he wanted to preserve his image out there. But over the last year and a half, he's probably felt really bad about it. But who gives a shit?
Man, police officer.
I mean, does anybody really care?
Embarrassed smiley face. Judge. Collision. Boom.
That's right. Hey, thank you, Kristen Russell.
And consecutive. Under the statute involving possession of a weapon during a violent crime, there is no sentence.
Yeah, the judge absolutely.
Where a life sentence is imposed on other indictments. That is the sentence of the court, and you are remanded to the State Department of Corrections. And officers may carry forth
this guy likes
on the
him.
imposition.
He hates him.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Why am I in jail? What'd I do? I think he's 54, 55.
Before we adjourn, an order was issued concerning maintaining the juror's identity being anonymous. That order was issued, and for the most part, it's been complied with, except for the jury leaving the courtroom yesterday. Or not the jury, but the defendant leaving the courtroom while the jury was still seated.
No, Paul was intended to be killed the same night. He was. I think he was the main target, in fact, because Paul is the one who was going to be charged criminal trial, and then all that time, it was an absolute. I totally agree with law enforcement when they say that it was an attempt to take the sympathy and give it to Alec, so that the civil suit wouldn't be anywhere near as bad. I agree with that.
Protecting the identity of the jurors is certainly extremely important during the course of a trial to ensure that no one makes contact with the jury or attempts to influence the jury. The jurors have a right to continue that privacy beyond their jury service, but they're not obligated to do so. And it would not surprise me if jurors choose to come forward and to speak, and they're encouraged to do so if that is their desire. I have no problem whatsoever with the jurors unmasking themselves and speaking freely with the media because they have undergone a life-changing experience as relates to many of them. And some of them are here now, and I want them to know that should anyone attempt to harass them or annoy them, please let me know and I will address the issue. Secondly, there's a complaint now regarding the posting of autopsy photographs or photos that came from within the courtroom. It's based on the direction of the photographs. It did not come from the audience. It came somehow from within the well of the court. The parties have requested an investigation of that. I have my hands full doing my job, and I don't attempt to conduct any investigations beyond the conducting of a trial, but to the extent that law enforcement decides to review that, it will be the responsibility of law enforcement. Yes.
What are you even referring to, Danielle? Nobody knows what you're talking about. But thank you. Do I have to go way up there? And Candace, that's right.
I'll be Chewbacca if you want me to.
That's a good question, Zep Laurie. I think Maggie and Paul did know Cussball turned his head and Maggie might have been running to...
Yeah, nobody knows what actually went down there. I don't know what... I can't find Laurie's question, and, no idea where it is. So, let me try to find it. Is this from today? Well, that's not the question. TikTok is a good place if you want to see tidbits. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what the question was. What was the question? What was the question? Really quick. If Paul and Maggie knew who shot them. Yeah, well, I think it's kind of obvious, right? I mean, unless Alec put some stuff on him to minimize the spatter, but Paul didn't have any defensive wounds, right? Remember that? So he was probably just in there. It looked like he was talking to him, and then boom! And then Maggie comes around to see what's going on, and she's probably maybe even first sees Alec. Maybe Alec was even saying, "What's going on? What's going on?" And I go, "Look!" He might even have said, "Look, that's Paul. Looks like he's been injured." And she goes running, and then boom! He shoots her too. I mean, the first shots are probably from the front, but he might have had a whole different sort of look of what was going on, and Maggie wouldn't have perceived at all that he would have shot him, right?
Of course.
Okay, you got to put the question in the thing so I can read it. I didn't know what you were talking about.
Of course, one of the reasons we've sought to seal graphic photos is because the parties have the right to privacy and a right to those matters not being publicly disclosed. If anyone has heard about the recent settlement that Kobe Bryant's, another sports analogy, Kobe Bryant's
talking about the
wife just made with Los Angeles County and others out there over certain disclosures of information involving the death of Kobe Bryant.
Yeah, me too.
Liability can be substantial, and it's a risk for the most part. That's not worth taking. So we'll let everyone judge themselves.
I've been up to it.
So,
there you go. There it is, DC. I've been up to it. Oh. Oh.
Accordingly, with that regard.
What a pile of shit.
Aside from all that, our business is done here in Colleton County, and I get to use my gavel one or few times during this trial and order that court be adjourned. Sine die.
There's one point in there where I think when they were standing up at some point, like right around in here somewhere, where the judge sort of made a joke and he laughed, and you could tell Alec was really pissed that he laughed at it. Let me see if I can find that by just scrolling it. It had to be when they were standing up, or maybe that was yesterday. I don't know. I can't remember now. But anyways, they just start walking around in here. And he's probably like, yeah, we're going to file appeal. Yeah, man. Yeah, you got it. They shake hands and everything. And then here's Hart Pootlian and Jim Griffin outside.
Am I supposed to introduce everybody?
Yes.
Okay. So y'all spread out behind me. Where is everybody? Good afternoon, afternoon. I'm Dick Harpootlian. This is Jim Griffin. That's Emily Dale. That's Maggie Fox. That's Holly Miller. And this is Phil Barber. We are Alec Murdaugh's defense team. We're able to answer your questions. We're not going to make a statement. I know y'all don't want one. So, anybody got a question?
Do you think it was a mistake to put Alex Murdaugh on the stand?
No. Next.
Do you think it was a mistake to put out? So it wasn't. It was all of their idea, apparently. And obviously they would say it wasn't, because he lost, but that the truth is that they all wanted him to go on there.
Why didn't I? Well, for two reasons. One, she admitted she talked to...
They're talking about the jury that was removed yesterday just before the verdict.
Other people about the case, but not specifically. But technically, I think the judge had leeway to excuse her, but she clearly, and after we interviewed her back in chambers, in my mind, had not made up her mind. Yeah. And I thought that...
So she just would have been a, convince me type person.
That was important. I don't know. She didn't express an opinion. To us, she said she was open. She hadn't made up her mind.
Clears the judge on that.
The defense has made a great deal of points about the SLED very early in the investigation. For your position in the sentence, do you feel there's an opportunity to address that?
For 7-year-olds? What?
I think there were significant issues, but I won't be addressing that in the Senate unless it comes up in a bill. I'm not going to mix
the glasses.
This role with my role as a senator. I would not do that.
Why do you think that the prosecutor didn't use that penalty in this case? And
Go ahead.
Death penalty.
What now?
Death penalty question.
What was the question again? I'm sorry.
Why didn't they seek the death penalty?
Well, I'm somebody that's prosecuted and defended a bunch of death penalty cases, and clearly, you never do it in a circumstantial case. Because you're not 99 times out of 100, a jury's not going to sentence somebody to death without I saw him do it, he confessed, or great forensic evidence at the minimum. They had none of that here. Secondly, in a death penalty case, it gives us the ability to individually voir dire jurors, which would have been very helpful here. And the prosecution obviously didn't want that. So I don't disagree with, if I'd been prosecuting this case, I probably wouldn't have brought it, but based on, what we heard was presented to the Colleton County Grand Jury by Detective Owen that Jim crossed, blood spatter that didn't exist, testimony about guns that was wrong. I can go through the litany with you. Going back to his question, I think SLED needs to do some self-examination on the forensic processing. They did not. One of the things we complained about was that Maggie's phone would have had all her GPS data on it if they processed it within 5 days. And they because they didn't, the GPS data got overridden. It was just one, which would have been helpful to Alec. It's fingerprints, footprints, and all kinds of forensic things that weren't done. So what was the question about the judges?
What do you think about the judge's comments after the verdict? Did he agree with it and thought it was the right conclusion?
He's entitled to his opinion.
Yeah.
Can you expect an appeal anytime soon?
10 days we'll be filing an appeal.
What do you believe the strongest grounds for appeal?
What'd you say?
What do you believe the strongest grounds for appeal?
Yeah, what do you believe the strongest grounds for appeal? This is exactly what I've been saying, is what they're saying.
It was the admission of all the financial crime evidence.
Yeah.
And that was offered up, as evidence of motive, that because he was confronted about
I think it's definitely a motive, but it had the effect. It's kind of an odd, I think it's ridiculous that bringing it up for motive can't be part of the character issue. Well, of course it is, Financial
transaction involving attorney's fees by the chief accountant of the law firm.
Thanks, Jan Brook and
and that was being offered as motive for why he would go home and kill his wife and son, which we thought was...
No, Jim, that's not what he said, okay? You sound like a lunatic. Okay, that's not what he said. Yeah.
Illogical and ludicrous.
No, it's also ludicrous that that's your perception of it.
Fees by the chief accountant of the law firm.
Thank you,
that was being offered as motive for why he would go home and kill his wife and son, which we thought was illogical and ludicrous. And there really was no evidence linking one to the other, and we did not think it should come in. Not only did that come in, but every other financial misdeed that they could bring in over the last 10 or 15 years.
See, here's where I think a problem might be. Oh, wait, hold on. right. I can't rap anymore. Never mind. Forget it. We're going around about me and a rule about something we did on supposed to do. Might not heard or maybe you have been when I've heard it.
Sunflower. The sunflower.
Yeah, I think the biggest problem is going to be
a little perkier today. Sunflower.
A little perkier, yeah. I think the biggest problem is that the argument's going to be this. Yeah, it was definitely used to show motive, yeah. But in a lot of the arguments, the whole look how he looked into their eyes, that whole thing that was a theme of Creighton water, that's character, right? And so he's using the financial crimes as character, as him being a liar, and then uses it even at the very end. He looked right into your eyes, just like he did to those people that he took the money from. You see where that... I know he opened the door to financial crimes, but the judge, YT3, if you paid attention, said it can only be used for character and not... can only be used for motive, but cannot be used for character. He literally said that out loud. So you sort of wonder... I don't know how that's even a law, because of course it's going... the voluminous number of financial crimes that he screwed people over on are definitely going to end up being character, and it shows that people didn't realize who he really was and things. But again, that's character, right? So I don't know where... There's got to be this weird line between character and motive, right? Isn't motive character in itself?
Was allowed in, and we think that we strongly objected. We respect the judge's decision, but we believe that was an erroneous decision, and we believe that the judge was somewhat misled, because at the conclusion of the case, when Mr. Metters is up on his rebuttal argument in front of the jury, he says to the jury, "Oh, forget about all that motive evidence. We don't have to prove motive. We just have to prove malice," which is right. But why did they go to all the effort to prove motive when at the end they say, "You don't have to believe us on our motive theory"? But by then they had cast Alec as a despicable human being.
Well, he is a despicable human being. And yes, that is why they were doing that, to show him that he's not a good person and he's not what he claims to be to all of his friends and everything. And that's character. It's just weird.
And that was the reason they offered it in the first place.
I don't think
we think appellate courts will take a strong look at that.
I think they will look at that, though, because that is... if that is really the law, I don't know what the law is, that might be something to take a look at.
We feel like that is a very solid ground for an appeal, and we're going to pursue that.
I wonder if he opened the door for that intentionally to allow for an appeal like that. And then the second go-around... See, imagine this trial, though, you guys, without the financial stuff. It did make a big difference, right? It was huge when you put it all together and just go, wow, look at that. He stole money from his housekeeper. He stole money from this person and that person. But guess what you have right now? You have the GM data, and the video is always still there.
No. Look, once the judge... First of all, we believe if the judge...
Yeah, they opened the door for it, but they opened the door for it, and the judge said it had to be narrowly focused to motive. And it can't be used for character. He literally said that.
The judge was going to let that stuff in. It should have been limited to the Ferris case, which is what they were asking him about on Monday on the feed. Number two,
that's what the argument's
Tinsley,
going to be.
The person that made the motion to compel to be heard on Thursday, Dawes Cook, Alex's lawyer, both agreed there wasn't going to be any storm or Armageddon or anything that was going to happen that Thursday. The judge might have issued an order, which months down the line might have posed a problem. So once they got that character in it, character information is he's a thief, he's a liar, then it dictated this jury had to think he was a despicable human being and not to be believed. So it was about character. It wasn't about motive. So
yeah, and see, I was already thinking this exact same thing, what he's saying right here. That if there is an appeal, that will be the angle they'll use, whether it's, I don't know how judges rule on stuff like that.
As a result, our options were limited. Should he take the stand? Well, we debated that. He always wanted to take the stand.
I'm not just going to, look, I'm not just going to make something up and go, yay, everybody. I'm just saying that is what might happen in the appeal. That is the angle they're going to go at. And I told you guys that a few days ago, even. And so, it's not like, yay, everybody. I just tell you guys the truth on here. Whether it turns out that when you go to the Supreme Court or the court below that, if they decide to do anything with it, I don't know. I have no idea. I just think that's going to be the argument, right? Doesn't that make sense?
Once that information was in, if he had to take the stand to explain the kennel video.
Yeah, so what they're saying now, they said he had to take the stand to explain the kennel video, and, well, yeah. Notice how he started off with the kennel video. Right, he definitely needed to explain that.
The lie, if you will. He had to, but he had no credibility. His credibility had been stripped away by the financial
and it should have been, right?
misdeeds.
See, what's weird about these guys is they don't realize that it was the truth, though. It's like all it is to them is just this battlement of arguments instead of like, yeah, who's made to look this way? Because he is that way. That's the thing. He is that way.
Yes.
How is Buster doing and why?
We could have had Mother Teresa up there speaking on behalf of Alec at sentencing. He was getting a double life sentence. That was expected. This is Judge Newman. He's a very stringent punisher when it comes to crimes and sentences. That was never in dispute. And so for Buster to get up and
yeah, I don't dislike these two guys here. They just do what they do. It was, mildly entertaining at times. Just,
speak on his dad's behalf would not have made a difference. And why do you want to put that
Welcome
kid
up
through
North Gal.
more trauma than anybody that we can imagine has ever?
Yeah, that's what I was saying a minute ago, Mag. Is you wonder if he did it intentionally just to have something somewhat strong.
Never been through.
How did his feelings about his dad change?
What's that?
How did his feelings about his dad change?
I can't speak to Buster's feelings. I can tell you this. There was a lot of effort by the state to convince the family that Alec is the murderer. The family came to trial every day for 6 weeks, expecting to hear proof positive that he killed Maggie and Paul, something that they had not heard before. After 6 weeks of trial, they came away more convinced that he did not do this, and they steadfastly in his camp and support him, and that's where they stand.
What's next for Alex?
Well, Alex will be leaving shortly to go to Columbia to R&E, it's called, where he'll be at the South Carolina Department of Corrections. He'll be evaluated. That's about a 30-day process, and then he'll be sent to wherever the correctional facility that they assign him to. So.
Special security measures for him?
No, I don't think. Alec was not optimistic that with all of the scrutiny and press and all of his bad acts being out in the public, in the world, media domain, that he could get, a jury to put out all the noise and just focus on the murder. And so coming in, he was somewhat pessimistic. He became optimistic as we got through the process. But I got to tell you, and all you reporters, you know the whole story, I'm sure. And if you're sitting on that jury,
yeah, but why don't you admit that you're the one that opened the door for the financial crimes?
They heard everything that would be in an HBO documentary, a Netflix documentary about the Murdaugh family dynasty downfall, except the Stephen Smith matter. So we were hoping to get a jury to put all, that could ignore the noise, focus on the murder, and we ended up trying.
Hey, Lynn G, you got to put some quotes around that one.
Find a case that they could have watched on Netflix.
Would it really bother you, Tracy? I mean, that would just save a lot of time.
Oh, absolutely not. I mean, not outmatched. I mean, look, they won this case the day the judge bought.
Yeah, well, that was early on in the case, Shanna. Even the judge said, "You create a bridge and drive right over it." I mean, whatever the term it was hilarious.
Into letting them put every piece of, stealing from kids who lost their mother, from somebody with pancreatic cancer, somebody that's a paraplegic. I mean, all of that 2.5 weeks. By the time they got done with it, it didn't matter about final argument. It didn't matter about what.
He asked some witness, I believe, about like what was something that you about Alec or something, and then the person said, well, he stole money from and then all of a sudden, boom, the financial crimes are part of the case.
What we put up. They would never,
like
ever
minor.
acquit him after that. Last question. We'll file something, not in 10 days, but we'll file a notice of intention to appeal. Then we've got 30 days, I think, to file a brief.
Yeah, so you file the notice within 10 days. You got to get a transcript.
Oh, that'll take a while.
That'll take months before they type up everything, and then we start briefing.
Are you all going to handle the appeal?
Yes.
And argue it in the Court of Appeals and the Supreme Court?
And the U.S. Supreme Court.
And the U.S. Supreme Court, if necessary. That's correct.
What's the federal issue?
Doyle.
Oh, there's a huge federal issue. That's why I got so animated, and the judge told me to sit down. And part of the trial is the state eliciting or asking questions of Alec about why he did not come forward and tell law enforcement where he was at the time of the kennel video. And that was after he was arrested. And there's U.S. Supreme Court cases are clear that post-arrest silence cannot be used against you.
I think that's completely weak as shit, right? What he just said right there. He wasn't silent, though, on his own. I mean, if you're going to talk and you leave something out, it matters a lot. I mean, he's sitting there making it sound like he was supposed to, I don't even know, like they forced him to speak. He was in there talking and speaking, and he didn't even mention that he was down there. He literally lied about it. He's the one. There's no issue there at all. If that's something that's an issue, man, our laws suck. Okay, that's ridiculous.
And that is a classic violation of the Fifth Amendment. And
no, it wasn't a violation of anything. It wasn't a violation of anything.
Come forward and tell law enforcement where he was at the time of the kennel video, and that was after he was arrested. And there's U.S. Supreme Court cases are clear that post-arrest silence cannot be used against you. And that is a classic violation of the Fifth Amendment.
I know, but he spoke on his own free will, and he left something out really important. And he lied for a year. I mean, a year and a half, 2 years.
And we feel strongly that if we lose at the state courts, we'll have success at the federal courts.
Can you tell us about the plea negotiations before trial?
No.
There were no plea negotiations.
Because there weren't any.
They never offered him anything.
What would it have been?
Not our job to find the real killer. If they had taken fingerprints, if they'd gotten footprints, if they hadn't destroyed, if they'd preserved Maggie's phone with her GPS.
So what's the deal about Maggie's phone and the GPS? Did it just get... I mean, I don't remember that part where they make it sound like they didn't protect it, so all of a sudden their GPS data disappeared.
If they had not... they misrepresented to the grand jury that they had a shirt with his blood on it.
Right, but they didn't use it at trial, so it's really irrelevant, right?
If Owen had opened his email, he said he didn't get, would have told him a year before there was no human blood on that T-shirt. I mean, it was a comedy of errors in terms of forensics on this. So, do I have faith that they would find the real killer? No.
Hey, and if you guys would like to, join the Freak family, hit that subscribe button. That'd be awesome. And there's also a join button below the video if you'd like to become a channel member. Part of that fund also helps support it supports the channel, and I choose to donate a large portion of the income from the YouTube channel. And when I say large portion, I mean usually over 50% of the net revenue from YouTube to various charities, and also, you know, PayPal, super chats, all that stuff helps the channel out as well. All right, there is no ad revenue on this channel, so you guys are it, right? So if you think I'm doing a good job, help support if you can. Thanks. If you hate my guts, send in a tip too.
We don't know. What? Last question. Last question. Say that one more time. There was no choice.
Why?
Because he had been made out to be a monster who stole from children and crippled people.
Because he did.
Was crippled, that's not a politically correct word.
See, I totally, that's a moment where I was like, I agree with Harpool. How do you know, there's a certain point where, what are all the words we're supposed to be using all the time?
I'm sorry, I'm an old guy. Crippled people who had just done horrible, despicable things.
Because he did those things. What's weird is, you know what's weird is he says, they painted him as this horrible guy who did these things. Well, he did do those things. He even admitted it on the stand. He admitted to being a terrible person.
And he had to try to push back on that. And I mean, if he went that way without taking the stand, he was toast. Taking the stand, you know, could he pull it off? Apparently didn't.
In hindsight, do you regret not asking for a change in venue?
Not really, because we checked. I mean, we did focus groups in this case in a county way far away from here. 8 of the 10 people on the 2 focus groups knew all about this case. I mean, there was nowhere you could go that you could find. We believe you could find a jury that didn't know, hadn't watched TV, hadn't read the stuff you write or the stuff, the Twitter stuff. And by the way, one of the good pieces of information now that this trial is over, Griffin can start tweeting again.
That's right.
All right, thank you guys. Thank you.
He's like, yeah, that was hilarious. Yeah, that was great. All right, let me hit the, I'm going to go use the bathroom here, so. Guess that sales pitch didn't work earlier. Let me repeat it again. All right. So on this channel, every single... I'm just kidding. Let's see. All right. So we're going to cover this other case on here. The Grant Solomon murder. Wouldn't want to put myself in prison, though, later. We're on that route. Yep. Poor Alec Murdaugh, you know. Poor guy, you know. Doesn't everybody feel bad for him? I do. What in the world is that song? It's the song I always play on here, Misty. If you haven't been here, then this must be the first show you've ever watched. So what in the world is your comment is the better question. No, what? Oh, yeah, you haven't heard of Grant Solomon. Yeah, so somebody sent me this email a while back, and, you know, I sort of took a look at it, and then I was like, whoa. And so there's this individual named Grant Solomon, and this pickup truck sort of ran him over in this ditch. And, you know, we'll just start from the beginning here. Here is the... Well, let's just go with the 911 call right off the bat from his dad. So apparently his dad was parked right next to him, and his car rolled over down this driveway and then rolled over him into a ditch.
I'm trying.
Hold on.
It's. I'm trying.
Where's your emergency?
It's
right here.
1357 South Water Street. It's off 109. Please hurry.
You said 57?
Oh, thanks,
Please
Dan.
hurry.
Yeah, it's a good.
Okay.
I made a whole bunch on that one.
57. My son's truck backed over him, and it's rolled over him and drug him into the ditch, and it's on top of him.
It's right here.
He's trapped under the truck, and somehow it drug him underneath it. Yes, my son is under it. I'm trying to call 911.
Red apple a day.
Okay, what's your name?
Oh my God.
Thanks, Simple Life.
My name is Aaron Solomon.
And you said
oh
you're
my God.
at 1357 South Water Avenue, right?
There it is.
Yes.
How old
yes.
is the male?
He's 18. He just turned 18 a couple weeks, about a month ago. It's my son. Oh my God. Oh my God, this is not good.
Is he awake and
Oh, please
talking to
hurry.
you?
I don't know. I don't
Please
think
hurry.
so. He's not alert, right? No, he's out. And he's trapped. I got 3 guys here, and he's trapped under the truck.
Okay.
This is in
my
2020 in
I
June.
understand, sir. Stay on the
Okay.
phone with me while we get
July,
somebody out there.
actually.
What's your name?
Aaron Solomon.
So this guy's a news reporter,
All right, Aaron.
but his kid.
Huh?
What kind of vehicle is it?
It's a Toyota Tacoma, and the vehicle he's underneath the vehicle.
Okay, I've got that.
And it's.
Okay, I've got that. What color is it?
See, there it is right there. Look.
It's a white
He's
truck.
under there. He's down there.
That's my son. It's somehow it backed up. Yeah.
Is that
yeah,
truck
I'm
right there?
I'm on with 911 right now.
That's different.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Was your son working on it?
No, he was just getting out of it. It's the hill. We're on an incline, and I guess he didn't have it in park or something, or it wasn't engaged, or. Oh my God. Oh my God, I can't believe
still not
this.
responding?
I've been up to it.
No.
And he's still
No.
under truck. No one can get
Yes.
him out from under it.
No,
We've
no.
got units en route to you. I'm just asking you questions for we can
Huh?
update them, okay? Can you check and see
Huh?
if he's breathing?
Somebody's telling me that he's hurting too.
God,
Okay,
maybe.
That's almost
He is
identical.
waking up.
Maybe.
kind of-
Hold on a second.
Incline.
Did they go to the school of? I mean, look at this.
And
thing.
then I guess he didn't
Listen
have
to
it in
this.
park or something, or it wasn't engaged.
Wow.
Oh my God. Oh my
your
God,
son
I can't believe
still
this.
not responding?
No.
And he's still
No.
under truck. No one can get
Yes.
him out from under it.
No,
We've got units en route to you. I'm just asking you questions for we can
Huh?
update them.
Huh?
Okay? Can you check and see
Huh?
if he's
Huh?
breathing?
Identical. Man, that's
Somebody's
crazy.
telling me that he's coming too.
Okay. he
Maybe.
is waking up,
Maybe.
kind of keeping still. So he is
Well, he can't.
breathing?
Yeah, he can't move. I don't think he can move. I don't know.
Okay, I understand.
No, he can't move. He's trapped.
Okay, we got somebody en route. Now, when he wakes
I-
up, he might
I'm
be
telling him,
scared. Can somebody
I'm
just get
telling
down
him.
there and talk to him?
So it's weird. It's like he's on a phone and he's not even right there next to his son. And he's apparently talking to these other people that they've never found. Okay? Just letting you know.
Yeah, somebody talked to him.
Somebody talked to him.
Yeah.
I did hear
There's
somebody.
blood. What, is he facing up or down? He's facing up.
So
They
there's
said he may
somebody in the
aspirate. We need
background.
to hurry.
I can hear the voice.
Oh my God.
So does he have blood coming out of his mouth?
Yeah, there's blood coming out.
Wait, but how are they hearing any of that?
Yeah, somehow it drug him down, I think. I don't know whether it wasn't in park or what, or if it didn't engage the brake, or it drug him underneath somehow.
Okay.
I mean, if this was your kid, would you sound like this?
They said he's facing up,
Okay.
but he's bleeding from his mouth.
Yeah,
So,
who's the they, though?
Grant, turn your face to the side if you can, barely, but be careful.
Don't move him, okay?
We can't move him. We can't move him. Oh my God.
All right, Beeson, they're there. I'm going to let you go, okay?
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
All right.
Bye-bye.
I'm going to let you go. All right, then, so we just go to, like, the July 20th, 2020. Grace Christian Academy is mourning the loss of senior baseball player Grant Solomon, who died Monday. Let me go to this one so you can see it. Solomon, who recently turned 18, was the son of former Nashville television and radio personality Aaron Solomon. That's the one that you just heard on the phone. And the nephew of Providence Christian Academy girls basketball coach Tara James. James said he died in a single car accident. Other details of Solomon's death have not been confirmed. A vigil was held Monday night at Grace Christian in honor of Solomon. We are heartbroken about Grant Solomon today. That's him right there in the picture. He's a baseball player. While we are crying, he is smiling. My man knows truth and knows his Savior. He competed like none other and got the most out of his days on earth. Social media was active Monday afternoon with condolences to Solomon's family. That's another picture there. Yeah, so at the time, it just sort of, everything seemed sort of normal-ish for somebody dying. Other than, the circumstances are pretty wild. Yeah, before we get to keep going on there, I have there it is, an incident report. So that would just be good to put in there right there, because we know that the car just kind of rolled over apparently on him, but it said, we find an 18-year-old male lying supine on the large rocks in the drainage ditch underneath the front of the truck between two front tires. However, the weight of the vehicle was supported by the wheels and was not being exerted upon the patient. Upon initial impression, something about breathing, and it's noted to have some bleeding from the scalp, nose, and ears. Primary assessment is limited due to inability to see patient's airway. Patient's airway appears to be patent. I had to look that up because I've never seen it used in that context. And it means open and unobstructed, failing to close. The patient is usually left with a patent vessel. So that means it's, it's open. So it wasn't something about any kind of crushing or anything like that. Patient respiration are initially of an adequate rate, and let's see. I guess I can go about to there. I guess I could read more if I had panned out like that. Let's see. Primary assessment is limited due to the inability to access the patient. Initially, the patient's airway appears to be open, but at risk of obstruction due to blood. Patient respirations are initially of an adequate rate and depth, not appear to be labored, as evidenced by the movement of the patient's body upon respiration. Patient, so I guess he was breathing. Patient initially has a present but weak carotid pulse prior to extraction, I think. However, during extrication, the pulse is reassessed and can no longer be palpated. Patient's vital signs are as noted previously. However, vital signs are unable, or VS are unable to be assessed until after the cardiac arrest occurred. Patients presenting ECG rhythm is a wide, complex plea, with the only change occurring in a later conversation due to a narrow, complex tachycardic something or other. It says breath sounds after placement of the ETT reveal decreased volume on the left side of the chest and are clear on the right. Patient is with no obvious deformities upon assessment.
I love how you talk to these guys through the screen. Smiley face.
Oh,
It's
yeah?
great. I enjoy your comments. Heart.
Well, cool. Thank you, Melissa South, Doohickey, and let's see. Another one down there was Jamie. Thank you. Primary assessment is performed. Patient access is limited due to patient position under the vehicle. GFO is able to lift the front of the vehicle enough to allow the patient to be rapidly extricated. Huh. So if there was all these people near the vehicle, why didn't they just do it? I mean, who is GFD anyways? I don't know. Oops. Patient is continually reassessed and monitored for any changes in route, and CPR continued for duration of transport. During transport, patient is administered an additional IMG of 1 milligram of epinephrine via IV. So anyway, that's where it was right there. I mean, apparently it rolled back. You know, I guess if you were parked there, it rolled back, and if he was getting in the car, it just seems weird that he would somehow roll in front of the vehicle. If he was behind it, it would kind of make some sense, but I don't know. All right, we're just going to go through these, though. Thanks, Jamie. And there he is right there. Community mourns to death. The Williamson County community has been outpouring of support and condolences after the death of Grace Christian. We are heartbroken about Brant Solomon today. Solomon was also a member of the local 17U Rawling Southeast Mad Mav summer baseball team. The team posted on a Twitter page one of the final memories of the pitcher and infielder. So these are just the original articles where nobody was thinking anything was amiss or awry, or however you want to word it. Let's see, this was in the paper here. That's the obituary there. Nothing. Let's see what this one said right here though. Anything in there? Grace Christian mourns for senior. he has a sister named Gracie. So he went to a place called Grace Christian, but he has a sister named Gracie. Social media was active Monday afternoon with condolences to Solomon's family. Please be praying for Solomon. I mean, it seems like it's all the same thing at this time. So I don't want to go through as much of that. And we did that one. I got so many. All right, so this one is. Oh, hold on.
And I'm not going to be a victim.
Yeah, was that really when that was? Yeah, May 12th, 2021. All right, so here is the sister of his, okay? I'm looking for it. There it is right there. No, that's not it. All right. So this is the sister story. I have the link in the description. And she tells the story. Got to move it over to the right screen though. If I can somehow grab it, it's evading me. So this is his sister, and she tells this story.
Before we get into any of this, that it's coming straight from me. It's all me, and no one else is telling me what to do. My brother died protecting me from my father, Aaron Solomon. My father's a monster. It makes me want to vomit. I've been minimalized, but now
this is May 2021.
I found my voice to be able to tell you that my father raped me, hurt me, and I'm not going to be a victim of this monster. He's a rapist, he's a molester, he's a liar, and he's a killer. I hate my dad. I'm absolutely terrified of him for everything he's done to me, my brother, and my mom. I don't want to call him my dad anymore. He's never listened to me. He has hurt me sexually, physically, and mentally. He has caused so much pain for my family. He has tried to manipulate me and has manipulated others, and it has worked. Ever since I was born, my dad has done awful things to me. First, he never let my mom bathe me. It was always him. So by not letting my mom come in at all, it meant that he could do anything to me. I would always tell my mom I felt like I was more like a wife to him instead of his daughter. He would always bring his phone into the bathroom with him. At the time, I didn't know it, but I strongly believe he was taking pictures and videos. I had to learn to hide my body from him by flipping my hair over because he wouldn't leave me alone while I was showering or getting out. He would make excuses like me needing a towel or my hair was hard for me to wash on my own. So he would be able to help me. He is a sick person. After showering, he would sit me down in his lap with only a towel to brush my hair. He brushed through my hair so aggressively I would sometimes cry. I had terrible scars from that, and they are still somewhat visible. I even remember taking a bath as a young kid, probably first grade, and him washing me with the Dove bar soap completely up and inside of my privates. I know now that it was probably his hand, but I was too young to know any better. All of my grandparents knew about the abuse and still supported him. When I was at his house at night, I would sometimes feel like I couldn't control my body, or I would get sleepy and wake up in my dad's bed. One night I woke up with rashes on my inner thighs, both, and my privates also burned frequently. One of Grant's friends remembers looking over the upstairs railing and seeing my head slung over, and Dad wrapping me in his lap. Sorry. Every night, my dad would lock his bedroom door. Sometimes I was sick or crying. Most of the time, probably missing my mom so much. And I would bang on his door and scream for him. He never answered. While I lived with him in 4th grade, I practically broke my back by falling and hitting the edge of a concrete culvert and big rocks. It was almost impossible to walk for a while. He didn't care enough to even take me to the doctors. I have records now of how bad my back was injured 3 years later from the incident. In the car, if we said something that made him mad, he would speed up really fast, and it would scare me and Grant. Dad is super manipulative and has manipulated so many people. He even tries to convince me that I am being brainwashed by my mom, and everything I remember never happened. He tries to scare me into thinking my mom's house is unsafe. He knows how scared I am of robberies and kidnapping, or getting taken from my mom, In fact, he took me away from my mom for years when I was just ending my kindergarten year. Later on, he told me that I was never going back to my mom and that she was actually dead. I don't remember when I found out that.
So you just gotta, keep in mind that the person that was killed is her older brother, and it's the same father that was right next to him in a car when it rolled over him. I mean, really?
She was alive, but I know Grant and I both believe she was dead for years because of him. One time at my grandparents' house, my dad's parents, I remember hearing my grandpa say to Grant that he wanted to kill my mom. It made Grant so mad he started throwing stuff in the room. And I was so hurt and started crying. After I was finally able to start seeing mom again, my dad got mad because we didn't want to leave her. When the cops showed up, they told Grant and I that we had to leave in the cop car and mom couldn't be the one to take us. They said my dad specifically asked for us to be taken in the cop car so we would learn to not disobey him again. My mom filed for an emergency court hearing to get us back. We were in North Carolina for one of Grant's baseball tournaments when my dad said we had to go back home for court.
No, he's not in
It was
jail.
only my dad and I. Grant stayed. We stopped at a hotel room in Asheville.
I wouldn't be covering
My
it if
dad
he was in
only
jail.
got one bed when I had asked for two. It made me really nervous before we
This
even
is
got in
Gracie,
hotel
the
room.
sister of the guy that...
When we went to bed,
Never mind.
I remember him slowly getting closer to me until I was on the edge of the bed. I kept waking up by feeling his feet rub against mine. I kept waking up and then finally realized I felt something hard on my lower back, close to my butt. I drew an illustration of what it was like. I felt really scared and knew it was wrong. At court, Dad's attorney got inches away from my face and tried to manipulate me into thinking what my dad did to me didn't really happen by saying, "Do you really think your dad would do something like that? Do you actually remember that happening?" He was so close to me that I could smell his cigarette breath, and his tone really scared me. When I learned I had to go back to North Carolina with my dad, I was completely broken and didn't want to stop hugging my mom. He told my dad to pull me off of her and leave because he could. I eventually was able to go to family therapy, sometimes with my dad and Grant. One time I told Grant he could leave the room because he would always be there for me. I told him I was terrified of him being at my school and trying to get me. He got so mad. He reached to throw a chair at me, but ended up storming out of the room. He was screaming and his face was blood red. My counselor tried to calm him down. Through therapy, I have set boundaries with my dad so that I would feel better. Over the past couple of years, he has respected my boundaries, surprisingly. Now, ever since Grant passed, he ignores everything I have said. He is trying to force me to come live with him this Sunday. I am so terrified of him. I'm so scared. I can't go in general or without Grant. I'm not going. I begged him in counseling.
Yeah, what are you apologizing for,
He promised me he would never try to take me again. He is a liar. I'm so scared of Dad. I've seen him do terrible things to people I love and myself. Because of this, I strongly believe he killed Grant, and now he's going to kill me. Grant and my dad never had a good father-son relationship because of my dad. Dad would always harm, threaten, scare, and stress Grant out so badly. Before my dad took us from my mom, Grant and I were scared of Dad because of his ridiculous and terrifying behavior. From trying to kill my mom and constantly yelling at her, to freaking us out from all the things he has done to us and our mom. When he took us, he was just as mean and hurtful as he is now. One of the things Grant said when Dad tried to kill her was, "When I'm 6'4", you will not be able to do this anymore." I have always thought about that so much. Grant meant that, and he was scared and so hurt by it.
Grant said, "Hey, I'm gonna, let's see."
Just ran out so badly. Before my dad took us from my mom, Grant and I were scared of Dad because of his ridiculous and terrifying behavior. From trying to kill my mom and constantly yelling at her, to freaking us out from all the
So her father tried to kill her mom, and it freaked out Grant and her, Gracie.
things he has done to us and our mom. When he took us, he was just as mean and hurtful as he is now. One of the things Grant said when Dad tried to kill her was, "When I'm 6'4", you will not."
No, I mean, if somebody was already an arrest made, I'd like to try to do the ones that are cold cases or actively something isn't solved. If it was solved, I probably wouldn't, there's no real benefit at all in covering. This is one he's still walking around.
Be able to do this this anymore. I have always thought about that so much. Grant met that, and he was scared and so hurt by his dad.
Yeah, I don't know what she put the apology in there for, LM, but you don't need to interject yourself again because nobody said anything to her or anything.
That is just awful, and Grant was so young. Dad is controlling in many ways. One way was by giving Indian summons and telling him that he would always have control over Grant.
LM again.
Dad would just scream at Grant, like I could hear it from everywhere in the house. It was awful. One time Grant and I were watching TV together, and all of a sudden Dad comes up and grabs Grant by his shirt, pulls him up, and just yells at him in his face. It was so bad to watch. Dad would get into Grant's head so much. He would limit food and call him fat, criticize him just to the point where Grant would feel so awful. Dad would limit the time Grant had in the bathroom, on his phone, etc. Why the bathroom? Dad would keep our phones in his bathroom, which is locked, in his bedroom that is also locked. Dad never wanted Grant to be around Hannah, his girlfriend, or any of his friends. My dad even kept college letters and threw away some of the ones he didn't like. One of those multiple could have been what Grant wanted. Dad only wanted him to go to Ivy League schools. Dad also used Grant's truck as a way to control him too. Grant was so scared of him. He would apologize so much that if he did anything wrong, like if he was late to hit or if he was too sick, he was scared Dad would get mad. Even if he missed a day of school, the whole rest of the time he was worried about Dad. The day my dad took us, Grant tried to get out of the car to jump out to get back to Mom. When he tried, Dad grabbed Grant's wrist so tight, Grant thought it broke. And recently still, I would notice Grant touching that same wrist. Grant had a plan to run away with me, so we did. We got a few things together and went to our mom's house. Dad is and was an awful dad to Grant. I would never want Grant to even
Why don't you rewind it, Seema Turner?
have to know somebody like him, and I'm happy for Grant, because he will never have to deal with him ever again. Dad would take any or all of his anger out on Grant, anger outbursts. He made Grant train all the time and never had a break, and visit lots of schools. Dad would stalk Grant and come to every single practice, training, tryouts, just literally about anything. Grant was even scared enough to open up to Pastor Steve about help for our family, Grant, Mom, and I. Pastor Steve and Dad lied and said Grant wanted to talk about his faith and strengthening his faith. That was said during the funeral, even though Mom and I have always known he went for help, because he told us. Grant was my protector and my mom's. I didn't realize how much he protected us. However, now that he's gone, my dad is attacking me again. One of Grant's great friends told me that Grant had plans to reopen and testify for me and him again in court as an adult. A month after his 18th birthday, he had mysteriously died. I want my dad gone. This was from November 24th, 2020. I want zero contact with him, mail, text, in person, etc. Every time he contacts me, I can't get over it, and my focus in school and out is always disrupted because of all his texts and mail. I don't want him at school or games. I get so scared when he's around, and I feel trapped. I can't even go get a drink or go to see a friend or anything because he's right there on the bottom row. On November 19th, there was a basketball game. He got to the girls' game an hour early and was filming them, as well as almost coming in contact with me, at least 10 feet away and coming. By sneaking out, then the police left because they thought he was gone. So then my dad came back into the gym, and that's when he almost approached me. The school has forced me to go with him before, and I do not need him there. It's terrifying. I know what he's capable of, and that is what scares me. He has traumatized me, and I don't want it to be like this anymore. He needs to stop. Sometimes I'll even check behind curtains downstairs because I think he is there. He has violated the restraining order countless times. I'm not even going to the games anymore to see my brother be honored because of him, and it's not fair. I want custody completely flipped to my mom. She will show her medical records that she is clearly not mentally ill. She has never gotten to show those in court. It's all just lies. I want no contact, period. He makes everything so hard, and it's so scary, and someone needs to stop him. I need an order of protection. I've tried to get one with the sheriff's department, even though he will just break it. I really need someone to do something. I need my own attorney. My guardian ad litem isn't even talking to me, and she's doing things and saying things that I disagree with. No one in this court has listened to me or Grant, and that is why he is gone. So please, I really need someone to listen to me. This is from October, even though he will just break it. I really need someone to do something. I need my own attorney. My guardian ad litem isn't even talking to me, and she's doing things and saying things that I disagree with. No one in this court has listened to me or Grant, and that is why he is gone. So please.
Oh, so the court didn't listen to her or Grant.
I really need someone to listen to me. This is from October 21st, 2020. Ever since Grant, my brother, passed 3 months ago yesterday, my dad, Aaron Solomon, has been stalking us and just coming at us by throwing away and forgetting about boundaries I had set. I set boundaries for myself a while back, and he pretty much went by those for almost 2 years. But why when Grant died, he came after me. He literally just entered himself into our home and was hugging me and playing with my hair. I hated when he did that. It makes me gag, and it makes me think of the things that he has done to me. Soon after, he said that he was coming to get me. He has taken me away from my mom multiple times, and he has used the police to take me. It scared me so bad. He hasn't left me alone, and he has even contacted my friends and close people by sending videos of them. He even filmed up the homecoming court's dresses. It makes me sick seeing him or talking about him. It's so messed up. We recently got a restraining order put in place, but he has been violating it a lot. He isn't supposed to contact me, but he has been. He is coming to school a lot, and it scares me so much. I haven't been able to go to school because of how scared I am of him. What makes me even more scared is that I've witnessed how mad he gets, and when he's mad, I know he's really mad. I know he killed my brother, and now I'm scared of him coming near me or coming to get me again, or hurt any of us. This is an essay I wrote about what I want to do in the future, and it's about the FBI. The career I want to pursue is to be in the Federal Bureau of Investigation. I know that this is something I want to be a part of, and I have a few reasons behind this. I want to be in the FBI to help the innocent. I can use my thoughts, and it is just something that I really, really want to be, because it is extremely empowering. Helping others makes me feel content and happy. I want to feel that, and I want to make others feel better. I also want to be in the FBI to give justice to those people who have done. I have not received that. And eventually, when I do, I want to give back and help others. Well, I mentioned that I want to help others, especially women and children in the same situation, and I want justice for myself and my brother and my mom. Family. Granted, running. Running's a big thing. I love track. And just friends, just in God. He's helped me through all of it, so. Well, God, it's just, He's answered everything, honestly. And maybe that sounds cliche, but I mean it. He does. And I've seen signs recently, and now it's kind of Grant and God, so. I'd like to go to UT and run track. That's something that I really want to do, and maybe I can go ahead and look into being an advocate. I don't know how long the classes are for being an FBI, but that would be amazing.
Yeah, there's not much more in there, but the link's in the description if you want to watch that again or anything. But then there was also the memorial service where I thought the doggy, I was thinking, man, I got to get the dogs on the screen just to have something that's a little bit not so negative, you know. I mean, it's so cool that she did that, but the story itself is ridiculous. So here's the. I mean, just look at this guy. Okay, that's all I can say is.
For those that may not know, I'm Grant's dad.
Chewbacca? I'll be Chewbacca if you want me to.
Thanks for the dog you came and this powerful story.
Oh, thank you.
Before I begin, I have to say a huge thank you to everyone who's here, who may be watching, who has reached out via social media, calls, text. The outpouring of prayers and support has been overwhelmingly, indescribably amazing. The entire family appreciates it, feels it. It truly makes a difference. It does help. People have said there are no words. I know there aren't any words, but prayers matter. All right, you've heard a lot about the teenage years with Grant. I'm going to give you a few funny things about Grant you may not know. Most of you may not know. Just a few of us know. You might have noticed in 2 of the pictures of the slideshow from his birthday, the night he was born. If you notice, his eyes were just so wide open. From the moment he was born, he had this wide-eyed curiosity about the entire world. It was like he was studying and exploring every family member that held him that first night, starting with his mom. His eyes were so wide, and because he was passed around with close family, within an hour, we had given him the nickname Mr. Peepers. That was his first nickname because of his eyes. And he was Mr. Peepers for a few years until things graduated into other stuff. Now, thanks to sports playing a major role in the lives of both of his parents growing up, Mr. Peepers had a baseball, a football, a basketball, and a basketball goal in his crib when he got home from the hospital. Got to start him early, right, coaches? But his curiosity went way beyond just sports. You may have also noticed a couple of pictures from the slideshow that appeared to be dinosaur themed, right? If you noticed that was the great dinosaur birthday party, complete with one of the grandmas in costume, because Grant loved dinosaurs, couldn't get enough. So from like age 2 to 4, me and Angie found every dinosaur book we could find on the planet. And he wanted me to teach him how to pronounce every name properly, like at 2.5. I'm not kidding. So I'm not talking like T-Rex and Velociraptor, man. That's the easy stuff. He's got that. No, I'm talking Brachiosaurus. I'm talking about Archaeopteryx. Yeah, you didn't know that one. I'm talking about Giganotosaurus. Yes, 5-syllable dinosaur names, and all of them. He knew how to say all of them correctly, and he would correct adults often if you spoke them incorrectly.
Let me guess. I'm going to say Archaeopteryx, based on the breakdown. Opter for wings. Archae, probably old. So some kind of creature with wings that's really old. Let's see. Something like that. Is that it? Archaeopteryx. Oh, Opteris is what he said. Yeah, right there. Look. Can I get a boom? I told you, right there. There it is. Yep.
Correctly, but he would do it in a nice way. Now, around that same age, we found out that he really liked baseball, and he wasn't too bad. He had not turned 3 years old yet. We're in the yard, and he's hitting a plastic ball with a plastic bat off a plastic tee. And he's cranking some out. Mind you, he's not 3 yet. And all of a sudden, he just leans over, knocks the tee down, and says, "I don't need that anymore."
Hey, thank you so much, B10, and thanks for covering the cases like you do. True crime channel that sticks to the facts and there's a breath of fresh air. A fresh of breath air. Also, I will invite you to the farm.
Like you do. True crime channel that sticks to the facts is a fresh of breath air. Smiley face. Also, I will invite you to the farm simulator, lol.
The farm simulator. Don't know what that means.
And me and Angie look at each other like, what is he talking
What's
about?
going on with it? Keeps switching on.
He's not even 3. But I'm like, hey, he's calling me out. Okay, I gotcha. So I get the ball. I get like 10, 12 feet away. And I just, it's the little soft, gentle, soft toss.
Why does it keep switching off?
First one, cranked up on the roof of the house. I'm not kidding. Me and Angie look at each other.
There we go.
With jaws on the ground. We're like, all right. And I'm like, all right, let me get that ball back. That was just beginner's luck, right? Second softball, just 10 feet away. Cranked up onto the roof of the house again. I'm like, all right. I get the ball. I'm like, all right, let's try this out. So I get about 15 or 16 feet away.
I mean, does this seem like a guy at all that had a son that just died?
And I'm like, all right, I'm going to give it a shot. And I give an overhand pitch.
Oh,
you can probably guess what happened. An absolute laser that like almost takes out a window on the side of the house. And it's, it's a plastic ball. And we're just like,
This guy
what in the
doesn't
world?
sound loving.
So from that moment on, he's not even 3. I threw overhand like that to him even last week.
There we go. We got to cry. Yeah.
One little side note. T-ball parents were tripping out when that started happening because he started playing immediately in T-ball, and I'm throwing overhand to a T-ball player, and that kind of, they were like, whoa, and then they saw. All right, there's a couple funny stories that a lot of you didn't know. Now, as long as I can remember, I've always believed that things happen for a reason. And I think maybe it was born from the fact that my birth father died in Vietnam when I was 7 months old. So for years as a kid, I wondered why, we were all wondering why. But then later, I realized that it had to be a godly thing. He was the why. If my dad had not died, my mom would not have remarried the man who loved me, adopted me, and raised me.
He said this is a godly thing that happened here. Just rewind that a little bit more.
My mom would not have remarried the man who loved me, adopted me, and raised me, and moved us to Tennessee.
So how does this relate to your
Which
son?
led me to having 2 amazing sisters.
Okay.
It also allowed me to meet Angie, which led Angie to giving birth to the 2 most amazing children, Grant and Gracie. Godly things. The way we were led to discovering Grace Christian Academy.
What do you mean? What do you mean? Who's this about? It's about Grant. He's talking about Grant, the kid, the person that the case is about.
Discovered it during its first year. Tiny school. Started right in this building.
Oh, you mean you're saying sarcastically, like, hey, he's talking. Why is he talking about all these other people? I see.
Then Grant.
Man, I think I'm just too literal when I read your guys' comments. I don't have any way to know what you're really saying.
Started here in 3rd grade, and Gracie was in preschool in its 2nd year of existence. And you've heard from a couple of his original classmates that have been with him along this journey. But that's a godly thing that we ended up here.
Now, why is it a godly thing? I mean, so what's your analogy? So let's see, your dad died, and I sort of get it, like, yeah, it's fate is what you're really saying. But he's using the word godly because fate sort of has an ominous sound to it a little bit. So he's saying godly when his dad died and he met somebody else, and that's how he was born, or somebody, other things happened in his family. But when your son died, what comparison do you have here?
Grant and Gracie ended up here. Fast forward to Monday morning. Around 8:45, something happens right beside me.
Yeah, that's what he's talking about.
Is such a blink of the eye.
He's talking about right now he's talking about the incident where his son died. He was in a car right next to him or something.
A bizarre, fluky, tragic, unexplainable accident that takes Grant's spirit from this earth.
Thanks, Jessica.
And the only way I can rationalize it in my mind is it's a godly thing.
Mm-hmm.
And while it has me, his mom, his sister, his girlfriend, his family, his scores of friends, teachers, coaches, and teammates heartbroken, mad, confused, and a lot of us asking why, ever since Monday morning, I, along with his mom, his sister, his girlfriend,
thank you, Jessica Schubach and Yee.
his best friend, his family.
Slowly while playing the circus music Gray.
Yeah, I like that. Go.
Radio clown.
I feel like I'm a bobblehead doll when that music's playing, for sure. Yeah, well, we're going to try to go through as much as we can tonight here. Tell me more. And thanks, Yee, and tell me more.
His scores of friends, teachers, coaches, and teammates have been experiencing Grantly things. And Pastor Steve, pardon me, I don't mean that in a blasphemous way. At Monday night's prayer vigil, Ed Cash starts talking about Grant, and the most vibrant rainbow I've ever seen appears right there in front of us. You can see both ends, which I've never seen, and it's right in front of the gathering, and it's actually almost a mirror image of the formation of the arc that the crowd had gathered in, right there. That's a Grantly thing. At the same time, 763 miles away in Sarasota, Florida, Grant's good friend and former teammate Carson Ford, who was just up here, is sitting on the beach in Sarasota, mourning about the loss of his friend and thinking about...
Glad you're on it. The whole story is riddled with Aaron's deception. Hopefully you'll help get justice for Gracie and Grant.
Yeah, I just think people need to cover it.
Grant. He didn't know anything about the rainbow back here in Leaper's Fork, but guess what appeared to Carson? A rainbow. That's a Grantly thing.
A Grantly thing.
And of course, as we've all shared and talked about, there have been multiple rainbows around all over here ever since Monday. And ever since Monday, Angie and I have been bombarded with stories from people a lot like what you've heard, but of other ages as well, adults, people that he didn't play with and go to school with, people who hadn't met him, but telling us how Grant positively impacted their life. There are scores more that didn't even share today that have been shared with us, and that means a lot. One young man came through the visitation line last night and gave me an envelope with 5 written pages. 3 to me explaining what Grant meant to him, and 2 more pages written to Grant telling Grant what he meant, which is a lot of what you've heard. What truly warms our heart to know that our son made people feel that way. I know it warms mine. Lots of stories. Just this morning, Brent Doherty, a friend of mine, sends me a picture of his son Will at a 13U baseball tournament in Jackson, Tennessee, with his son wearing the crosses painted on his face. And he's 12. And he said, 4G money. But the Grantly thing that so far blows my mind the most, after the accident scene was cleared Monday, a man was looking around the scene and found Grant's cell phone, his GCA baseball hat, and what's left of the sports goggles he was wearing. Ironically, this man just happens to know one of my best friends, Lee.
Yeah, why didn't you get those things off the ground? You were right there.
And gets my number from Lee, texts me to know that he has Grant's things and he wants them returned to his family. This man is 55, 56 years old. admits to Lee that he has never in his life been a believer, ever. Had done a couple things in his life and lived rough, just didn't believe. But he tells Lee, what happened to Grant Monday has affected him so deeply that he's a believer.
What are you
now.
going to do, Lori?
That is Grant teaming up with the ultimate coach to win even bigger games than he won down here. That's a Grantley thing. Grant and Gracie, you have both made me the proudest dad in the world since the day you were born.
See, Gracie's the girl we just heard from, and that's his dad, her dad, and his dad.
Grant, I have wished since 8:45 Monday morning that I could trade places with you so that Gracie would have her brother and that Gracie and Angie and the rest of the people who love you wouldn't hurt.
I don't know about you, but don't you feel different now? I feel sorry for this guy. I really feel like...
hurt so deeply, and that you could live on and do great things here on this earth, but you have already done more on this earth than me and many other people that I know will ever do in a lifetime. And for those of you who are grieving and hurting so deeply, like the rising sophomore basketball player at Providence Christian Academy in Murfreesboro said it well when she wrote 2 pages to my sister, who's her coach, wrote a letter to console her, which included the verse Isaiah 43:2, when you go through deep waters, I will be with you. And she included the quote, grief is the last act of love when we can... Grief is the last act of love we can give to those we loved. Where there is great grief, there is great love. I have felt great grief all week, and of course I have, because there is great love.
So, so here's the thing, everybody. A lot of people wouldn't pick up on that, but don't you think that's odd that he would say, because I have?
I'll be back if
Right?
you want me to.
Hey, thanks, Miss
Thank you
Skiff.
for all you do great.
He's saying because I have is because he knows inside he wasn't, and he's thinking that other people are suspicious if he was feeling grief. All right, so just listen to that again. Watch that. That's totally a giveaway there.
There is great grief. There is great love. I have felt great grief all week, and of course I have.
See? And of course I have. I mean, why would you throw that in there? Nobody, you wouldn't even have to say that you felt grief. You could have just said, I felt grief all week, and then move on to the next one. But you said, because I have, and the reason is because you know that you don't feel grief. And, I mean, that's the only explanation for saying that. Just imagine one of you losing somebody and giving a speech, and at the end saying, I've felt grief all week because I have. Who the hell, why would they even pop into your mind? And the reason it popped into your mind is because you didn't feel grief and you're wondering if other people are perceiving it the same way. Right? I mean, it really is the only answer there. People don't talk like that. I'm not trying to be like, ooh, I'm the behavior panel or some shit like that. I'm telling you that, like, just listen.
All week, and of course I have, because there is great love.
Now he's saying, because there's great love. See, of course I have, because there's great love, and come on.
For Grant Rhodes, how fine Solomon. Grant, I will always love you. I'm proud to be your dad. And I can't wait.
I think out of the whole thing that is the moment right there where you just know something's not quite right.
To play catch again with you on that big field of dreams in the sky.
What a just cliche bunch of bullshit. Listen to that.
You on that big field of dreams in the sky.
Absolutely amazing stuff, man. That was, wow. Wasn't that just ridiculous? Freaking. In that great field of dream in the skies. I mean, what a joke. God, give me a break. All right, let's move on to see what we got here. And this is an article from July 1st, 2021, a year later, basically. I don't believe you, Mrs. Solomon. Mrs. Solomon. On gaslighting, spiritual abuse, and murder in the South. So it says, Gracie Solomon, age 14, and her mother, Angelia Huffins, have found themselves in an extremely precarious position. Not only, they say, were they abused and betrayed, so that must be her, these two right here, he's not alive. Let's see. Not only, they say, were they abused and betrayed by those they trusted, but also robbed of their beloved brother and son Grant, and shunned and silenced by the community they used to call home. While she had told those confidantes about the alleged abuse for as long, or confidants, I guess is the term, confidants, about the alleged abuse for as long as she can remember, it was the public allegations Gracie made against her father, I think that was in the video that we just watched, Aaron Solomon, that led many to turn their back on Gracie and her mother. Among those who dismissed their plight were former friends, teachers, church elders, the Williamson County Sheriff's Office, DCS, and several judges. Few decided to stand with Angelia and Gracie. One of them was Grant Solomon. As Gracie's big brother and Angelia's only son, he always did his best to protect them. Despite his extremely difficult home life, Grant was, by all accounts, a formidable young man, intelligent, funny, kind, and loyal. He told Gracie that once he was 18, he would be able to file against their father, that the courts would lend him more credence this time, that he would finally be able to get them both out of their father's house. Grant Solomon died not even a month after his 18th birthday in an alleged single-vehicle accident. His father, Aaron Solomon, was the only witness. Is that crazy? What about those other people that were apparently down there? According to the affidavit Gracie Solomon filed, Aaron began sexually abusing his daughter when she was only around 6 years old. At that time, Gracie recalls her father touching her in a sexual way while bathing her and penetrating her digitally, as well as with a bar of soap. According to the affidavit, when Gracie was 11, this abuse escalated to rape. But according to both Angelia's and Gracie's testimony, Aaron also abused his family emotionally and physically. They both stated in various documents that Aaron would mistreat them, hurt them physically, psychologically, and emotionally, and behave in manipulative and controlling ways towards them. After Angelia finally sought a divorce from her husband, he also started withholding their mother from the children, and according to the children's psychiatrist, statements at one point even told Grant and Gracie that their mother had died. The parallel realities the Solomons live in is best exemplified by examining the moment their marriage ended. Oh, I didn't even realize that part. According to Angelia's statement to 3 separate medical professionals who examined her after the fact, Aaron tried to strangle her in a fit of rage using the electrical cord of a hairdryer. She further stated that the alleged assault took place after she and the children had decided to seek shelter from his abusive outbursts, locking themselves in the master bedroom of the house. Gracie concurred with this in her video as well as in her affidavit, stating that Aaron has hurt my mom a lot. In his version of the story provided by his statement to the hospital that treated Angelia, Aaron acknowledged that his family had taken to, sleeping in the same room together without him. He explains this was an eye surgery that Gracie had and says that Grant had started sleeping in the master bedroom as well to keep his little sister company. However, he claimed that Angelia had tried to commit suicide by hanging herself with an electrical cord off of the shower head, that when he tried to save her, she got violent, and that the incident was caused by Angelia shopping too much. Oh, God. Yeah, this is right out of Alec Murdaugh's thing. Yep. While no one can say for certain what happened except for Aaron, Gracie, and Angelia, the psychiatrist Angelia talked to unanimously found her to be credible. It should also be noted that although those who suffer with suicidal thoughts do not always act rationally, it would be rather hard to hang yourself from a shower head that's lower than you are, not exactly load-bearing. All right, you guys, we're almost at the giving out a notebook level at this point. So if you guys would like to help support the channel and allow us to keep doing all these crazy stories and getting the word out on cases and also the amazing charity work that we do, it'd be awesome. But yeah, it has to be. I mean, the thing is, the way to make it work is every single night the freaks take care of me on the channel, and it makes a huge difference. Last year we donated $62,000 to places like RAIN, which is appropriate to a case like this, violence against women. But I don't know if there should be an organization, violence against men, I guess too, right? We don't have one of those, but yeah. Let me read some. Or I could just pull the old jail cell trick, I don't even see. How come I got to do live chat. That's right. That's probably what was going on. Yep, there you go. What an article. Where's it? Oh, it's from the, it's called Rentry Dots. It's in the description. Thank you, CaliGal3. There we go. It's in the description.
Where is it from?
It says Rentry.co. I'm not sure. There's a whole bunch of other documents and stuff. I mean, we might have to do this like on another, two-parter type of thing. I mean, this is, and maybe we'll sort of refresh it and then go through the rest of it just to have, it'd be nice to have a show that just had that in the title, but I had to get through the sentencing today in the Murdaugh case. Murdaugh. It's a house.
It's still at HU's.
It's a house.
Yeah. It is a pretty good article, isn't it? All right, let's go down here. Let's see. While no one can say for certain what happened except for Aaron, Gracie, and Angelia, the psychiatrist Angelia talked to unanimously found her to be credible. See, there you go. So the stuff that we just heard, the psychologist deemed to be credible. When we played her YouTube video, and I think it's on something called Free Gracie or something like that. The link again to the video is in the description. Thank you, Ethan Opel. All right, so now let's get to this part. But the emotional, psychological, and sexual abuse Gracie and Angelia accuse Aaron of is not the only sin he may have to contend with. Perhaps the most heinous crime anyone could commit is to murder their own child. While we will perhaps never know for sure or what caused Grant Solomon's death, many unanswered questions surround it. Several statements made to The Guardian ad litem, is that the word? I never use those kind of words like that. I'm just a plain spoken to Angelia and to the children, psychiatrist suggests that Aaron's only interest in Grant was as a baseball player. Well, there you go. Didn't one of you say that while we were listening to that? He was like a trophy. That was his only interest. A status symbol reflecting on his excellence as a parent, a trophy. So that's exactly what one of you said while we were playing. The Guardian. Oh, I think that's the name of the, I don't know. Yeah, it's the name of the ad litem. So the Guardian ad litem's report also states that Grant felt controlled and manipulated by his father, up to the point where, yeah, we got to read that again. In a second. Thank you, Snarky Cinderella. Hey, I haven't been in the jail yet. Pretty good. Must have been awesome. All right, so here it goes. The Guardian also states that Grant felt controlled and manipulated by his father, up to the point where Aaron would control when his son could go to the bathroom. Additionally, the testimony submitted by his friends and family to the Freedom for Gracie Instagram. So there's an Instagram, Freedom for Gracie. Instagram suggests that he was afraid of his father and that he felt great responsibility for protecting his little sister and his mother. See, I think what it got to the point is he's getting so much bigger, Grant is, that his father wasn't going to be able to control him anymore, and he wasn't going to be able to get away with the stuff that he'd always been getting away with. And probably realized when he became an adult that, well, thanks, Danielle. Some people say that, some people hate my voice. So, hey, I'm glad you're one of the people that like it.
Gray, your voice is so soothing.
It's nice to have somebody actually, give me a compliment. Yeah. Yeah, this is crazy, though, isn't it? All right, so incidents like the one that allegedly took Grant's life are professionally referred to as single vehicle rollaways. While proof of any kind is rare in this situation, it should be noted that in an analysis of single vehicle accidents by the NHTSA, only 6% of all single vehicle accidents examined were rollaways that did not involve an obstacle of some kind.
Just wow. Another Murdaugh. Hung jury, Gray. Love the show, Gray.
Thanks, Mr. Zeep. Yep. These kinds of accidents can often be caused by faulty cars, but since Aaron declined any investigation of the car that killed his son, we can't know if this was the case. Wow. So they deemed it an accident, and therefore there was no... God, that's ridiculous. Furthermore, Aaron also declined an autopsy for his son. Oh, jeez. How can you decline something like that? His son died, so you necessarily have to be. I guess. I mean, are there some states that don't? Yeah, it's frustrating. Yeah, so it's in Tennessee. I don't remember what they... That doesn't even make any sense. Furthermore, Aaron also declined an autopsy for his son. Under different circumstances, this would be understandable, but according to the hospital records, Grant's injuries are inconsistent with getting dragged by a truck, showing one blunt force injury to the back of his head, as well as a bruise on his lower left side and a bruise to his left cheek. However, the chart shows none of the injuries typical of getting dragged. There was no scratches, cuts, or abrasions to his back or legs. While we don't have any statements suggesting that Aaron regularly physically abused his son, there is ample evidence to suggest that he is narcissistic and prone to uncontrollable fits of rage. I mean, this is obviously an opinion piece, on it, but I haven't heard anything that sounded crazy at this point. Aaron's very limited statement as to how the accident occurred are also inconclusive at best. I've created a timeline to visualize the events leading to Grant's death, which you can find in the link bin below, as it is so often the case when it comes to allegations against Aaron Solomon. Gallatin PD opened and shut the case. When Angie asked, and by the way, thank you up there to Daryl Montgomery. And I don't know if I missed somebody else. And Mr. Zeep, yep. Let's see. Open and shut case. When Angie asked for it to be reopened, the mother, due to the many unresolved questions surrounding the incident and the overwhelming grief of not knowing what or who killed her son, Gallatin Police Department flat out refused. Oh, jeez. Yeah, well, I mean, this is a couple years ago. I'm not sure what's going on now. Although, well, the person that emailed me, I guess the mother might be able to communicate with us, so we'll have to see what's up with that. Although so far one might perceive Aaron to be rather unlikable, he has many friends. Most of those friends occupy positions of power and influence. Man, we're starting to sound like the Murdaughs again. In the realms of church, law enforcement, government, media, education, and nonprofit. So that's because he used to be a news anchor. Perhaps most prominently, Aaron attends the same fundamentalist church as Tennessee Governor Bill Lee. While this church, Grace Chapel, has stated in a cease and desist issue to writer Shannon Ashley that proper membership in their church is predicated upon completion of some class or other, Aaron did go to church there for many years. He also sent both of his children to Grace Christian Academy, a separate legal entity that resides on the same campus where some buildings subscribes to the same theological values, whose teachers and students also attend Gracie Chapel. What we can say for certain, however, is that they never reported any abuse. Let me go through this triune legally district construct of school, church, and pastor all claims to have not known anything about any abuse, which evidence would seem to contradict Gracie's mother and released email. Gracie's mother has released emails and text messages she exchanged with GCA and other sources that testified on the Instagram page concurred that sexualized violence and abuse was at least ignored by the private school and at worst encouraged. I think it meant to say one source claims that Headmaster Robbie Mason even bragged about meeting his wife Dabney when he was her basketball coach and she was 15. What we can say for certain, however, is that they never reported any abuse, even though Tennessee is a mandatory reporter state. They never protected Gracie or Grant from any abuse either, and during one incident in 2018, headmaster, this is at that school, I guess they went to a school with this name, Master Robbie Mason even allegedly forced Gracie into her father's car despite her begging and pleading with them not to. Now that the allegations are public, Grace Chapel is denying any mishandling of the case, while Grace Christian Academy has not released a public-facing statement, and Steve Berger Ministries and Let's see. Demonizing survivors of assault. Grace Christian Academy does, however, send out aggressively threatening letters. Sounds a little bit like, what's the name of the... I'm not going to go through this whole thing because I got other stuff on here to go through, but you can read through it on... it's in the description. But Scientology is kind of like that. Yeah, look at these buddies with all these people. Spiritual manipulation. Alright. Just a second. Where were we? Alright, this one's from November of 2021. Protesters demand investigation into the death of... I think it's the same academy, GCA student Grant Solomon. Protesters are expected to gather in front of the state capitol in Nashville this Wednesday in an attempt to urge the Gallatin Police Department to reopen its investigation into the death of Grant Solomon, a former Grace Christian Academy student who died in 2020. Then an 18-year-old senior at GCA in Franklin, Grant Solomon died in July 2020 after being struck by his own vehicle in the parking lot of Ward Performance Institute, a baseball training club in Gallatin. See, that's a pretty good image right there. You can see, like, it's kind of steep, so it'd been up here, and then somehow he's down under here. You can see a scenario where he was hit in the head and put into that ditch, and it's kind of early in the morning, right? And then he later, like, you just roll the car down in the ditch and just blame whatever injury he has on his head on the vehicle. Let's see. Aaron Solomon's daughter, Gracie Solomon, has alleged, along with many other supporters, that her father played a role in Grant Solomon's death. Supporters of Gracie Solomon have also pointed to what they consider to be inconsistencies with the official police report of her brother's death. The rally is scheduled to be held in front of the state capitol Wednesday at 5 a.m. All right, so, you know, they got a bunch of people rallying behind it. And we showed those images. And then there's a website called Freedom for Gracie. So that the number 4 Gracie, that is the sister. And up here at the top, you can go to like Grant's death here. There's a timeline that I think maybe we could try to go through that. It's kind of long though. I mean, it goes on, but you know, we can give it a whirl. All right. So maybe this will be the last thing that we do here. We already went over the incident report. And here's this timeline on the freedomforgracie.com website. All these links are in the description. All right, let's see. Angie and Aaron married in 2001 after a 6-week relationship, with Angie pregnant with Grant, who was born 2002. Even at this time, Aaron was abusive, sexually violating Angie and berating her constantly. In 2006, Gracie is born. 2008, infidelity. Angie discovers that Aaron is having various affairs, grooming underage girls as well as hiring prostitutes. That's what she's claiming. 2008, Angie feels she needs help due to the pain and stress she's experiencing with their marriage. She becomes Dr. Fortel's patient, but Aaron is opposed to the idea of her speaking alone to anyone. According to Angie, during that time, he would sometimes stay with her at the hairdresser in order to hear what she was talking about. Yeah, he didn't want her to say, God, my husband. Even at that time, he demanded secrecy. Aaron ends up joining the therapy session in which Dr. Fortel diagnoses Angie with PTSD and Aaron with sex addiction. Jeez. And then January 2011, while he maintains that he left voluntarily, according to Angie and other sources, Aaron is forced to resign from WSMV for having inappropriate materials on his work computer and his phone. Jeez. June 18th, 2012, Aaron's aunt, Ruth, dies and leaves him a multi-million-dollar trust. This trust would start dispersing funds about 1 year later. Wow. And now he's probably like, man, I can have my own little life, and if I just get rid of... With his newfound financial freedom on the horizon, his behavior starts getting more and more erratic and unpredictable. All right, I got to use the restroom again, so we'll get back to the rest of this in a minute. Hey, yep, intermission time. Thank you, Georgina Stoliker. Feels good to get back to sort of like, doesn't it, you guys, a little bit? Just to do something back to what we kind of used to do, just cases. Yeah. I mean, we still do it, but there's been a couple things going on lately that... Yeah. Alright, so then in 2012, Angie starts seeing Dr. Michael Reed, a psychiatrist, to help her cope with her abusive husband and figure out how to get the kids and herself out of that situation. And then right over here, then January 2013, then 5-year-old Gracie tells her mother that her father puts things up inside her during bath time and that it hurts. Angie is horrified. She confronts Aaron, who admits to the abuse, but tells Angie that he will take the kids away from her if she ever tells anyone. Jesus. Then in early 2013, Nashville PD are called to the Solomon residence for a domestic disturbance. The responding EMT gave the following testimony. Let's see. The Myers advised that, I mean, I don't know how I can read this, it's so tiny, but I can. Mr. Myers advised that he is currently living in, let's see, prior to that, he lived in Nashville, Tennessee, where he was employed by the Nashville Fire Department as an EMT. Mrs. Aaron Myers. Oh, so What's the Solomon part? Where did Solomon come from then? Aaron Myers interview. Huh. Maybe they didn't take each other's name or something. I don't know. Mr. Myers advised that he remembers one evening that Station 20 NFD responded to a 911 for a domestic disturbance. Or maybe Myers is the responding officer. Oh, yeah, that's what he is. Okay, never mind. Mr. Myers, he just happens to have the same first name. Mr. Myers advised that he remembers one evening that Station 20 NFD responded to a 911 for a domestic disturbance call on Abbott Martin Road in Nashville at the residence of Aaron Solomon. He was designated as Medic 20 and he responded with his fire department. Let's see. Mr. Myers advised that they were not at the call very long. He stated that while MPD was inside with the occupants, Aaron Solomon came outside and was again cordial. He stated that Aaron told them that his wife is mentally ill and had caused the trouble. However, when Angie Solomon and the two children exited the house, Aaron's demeanor quickly changed. He became red in the face, and his facial expression showed that he was very angry and agitated, and it was obvious that Aaron was filled with rage. He stated that he recalled that Aaron made a few steps towards Angie, but was stopped by NPD. Mr. Myers advised that Station 20 left the scene on the fire truck. He stated that he and his colleagues all remarked that we know who the instigator in the incident is, and they were referring to Aaron. Mr. Myers advised that he does not know what occurred after he had left the scene. He stated that, to the best of his knowledge, no one was transported by ambulance to a hospital. Hey, thanks, Doohickey. And just here. Oh, really? Oh, and the mother is in here? Where? I don't see. I don't see her for some reason. I don't see anybody with that name, unfortunately. Yep, nope. She doesn't show up to me, you guys. Sorry. Yeah, she's not in there. That's too bad. No, she's a freak? Yeah, I mean, I can't see her name or anything. I mean, it doesn't show up. Oh, she was here? When? Oh, thanks, Eugenie, up there. I think I missed that one. And Jamie. I don't see her. Sorry, guys. It's too bad. Yeah, she's not in. I don't see her. I did a whole search for her name, and it's not in there. Well, that's cool. Let me see if I can see the join thing. Hold on. I should be able to see that for sure. Oh, yeah. Oh, Ange Solomon. Oh, okay. You guys put Angie. Doesn't say that. Let me see if I can find that. No? 1, 2. Yeah, that doesn't even show up either. Weird. Is she typing anything in? I can't see it. But hey, thanks for joining. We're going to have to do something where, you know, maybe she comes on and talks about it. If she wants to. I mean, I think it'd be better if we knew more, like keep going through the timeline. Well, I don't see her to put her on. I know what you're saying, tell me more. I just don't see the name anywhere, okay? I know, we know, Zozo, we played all that stuff. Yeah. Let's see. But we might have to do like another show, actually. Yeah, type something in, Ange. Just so I can see it. I mean, she joined, but we don't see her name in the chat. Has anybody seen her type anything in? Okay, so nobody else has either. She did join, though. Maybe that's her. I wouldn't put it past me if a troll pretended to do that either. Okay, yeah. All right. Well, let's see. We've been on for 3 hours. Maybe we'll just, I mean, this is really long. Look how involved it is. And then maybe if Zozo, if there's other audio files that we don't have that Zozo was talking about, we can do those tomorrow. Like we can do a reset of it. What do you guys think about that? Like reset this, and then, you know, if there's a bigger, I'd also want to go over the Dylan Rounds arrest warrant too tomorrow if it's out there somehow. But I want to read that one. But I think it'd be, I want to go over, I mean, we all have the fundamentals of this down now, right? We have the ridiculous speech given by Aaron at the memorial service, where he literally admits basically that he doesn't have any grief at all. I mean, he goes, yeah, I've been really grieving all week. And I really was, because I care. You know, well, nobody asked you that. You didn't need to give us that extra information, right? Yeah, because we're at 3 hours now. That's kind of like the normal length of a show. I mean, I could just keep going on, but I think it'd be good to sort of start where we left off here after this incident right here, where Aaron actually is the one that caused it. And then we'll just keep going down after we sort of recap it at the beginning. Yeah, I mean, it was cool. I don't remember the person's name who sent me the email. They've emailed me a few different times and said that the mother would be interested in, let me see if I have an email or anything. Oh, by the way, I did email Candace Cooley during it, and I said, I'm sorry for your loss, but I think you already knew. I am happy for you that an arrest was finally made. Boom, justice is coming. And she said, yes, it is. So there you go. There you go on that one. Oh, is she in here now? Let's see. Well, we can see you there, Ange Solomon, but let me go look. How come you can't even click on her name though? Right? Like hold on, let me try this. Well, it's a channel that's been around since 2014. Seems like it's something. There's nothing on the channel or anything like that. But it's weird. There isn't the 3 dots that you normally see next to a comment? There isn't one next to hers, so maybe there's a struggle. Or maybe she doesn't signed into Google or something. What do you guys think? Hey, would you try, Ange, to type in the chat? No, I can't type it in. Yeah, it's weird. Hold on. Yeah, so it's a guy named Ethan O. He's the one that's been communicating with me. He said, I have an interesting update. I'm now working directly with the mother of the victims, Angie Solomon. We spoke for quite a while yesterday, and she's ready to talk about this. She's a doctor of pharmacy here, so yeah. No, I'd be interested in talking to her and having her come on the show. There he is, right there. Oh yeah, I just said your name, Ethan. I just said it. So why don't you get a hold of her and maybe she can come on and... Is that her in the chat, Ethan? Yeah, I just said your name a second ago. I was trying to remember what your name was. And, you know, all the links to the main pages are in the description, but I think we'll go over this tomorrow in depth further, and then maybe if Ange wants to come on. Hey, wow. Oh, you have? What's going on, Lisa? Are you feeling better or anything? Or thank you. Hello, Ethan. Was that her that typed in up above? Oh, you had pneumonia. Ew, jeez. That's not good. Well, I'm glad you're better and out of there. He's on slow mode. I'm not sure what that means. Well, how did he answer my quick question so fast if he's on slow motion or rewind mode is what we call it? Oh, maybe he didn't realize. Oh, because earlier I said the same thing. I said yeah, it will just be me and her on the call.
Family. Missed you all. Been in hospital.
All right. Chat is on a delay. All right. You all right, JD White? You always put that one face in there. I mean, I don't know if you guys are both in the same place and you come on Zoom at the same time, but I want to hear her words. A lot of times when people are helping somebody out, you end up hearing from them the whole time and not the actual person. So I want to have her words, basically. But yeah, I just send me another email. I got your last one. I didn't have anything to say back to it, but I did collect information and all those different websites that are out there, the main pages, and was going through it, and we'll finish that up tomorrow, and then maybe we can have Angie come on and tell us what the hell's going on. Now it's going to be hard to prove the murder element, it sounds like, because nobody tested anything and he's not around to be... Was he cremated or anything? That's what I want to know. Because maybe they could still exhume him and do an autopsy on him. A new one. Well, thanks, JD White. All right. Yeah, well, it doesn't seem like she's signed in, Ethan, correctly. Because usually, like, what she might need to do is sign out of Google and then back into Google and then go to YouTube. And might work, but it's odd that she was able to send in a super chat, but her name doesn't show up in the comments correctly. Oh, well, the truck, there's nothing going to be on the truck now. He didn't allow them to look at it. I'm sure it's been cleaned up, and, you know, probably any blood on there would just be able to be described as being part of, like, what happened. Be difficult to... But, man, what are the odds? Just after he turns 18 with power to get Gracie away, he then dies, and they're the only people there. And apparently he keeps referring to these other people, like, turn him over, turn him. And you do kind of hear a voice in the background. But I don't know if that's, you know, is that him putting his hand over going, yeah, I'll be right there. You know, who knows what he's doing there. Yeah, thank you to Teresa Murray early on, Cindy Leon, K. Me, Caligal 3, Mag, Eugenie, Caligal 3, Simple Life Days, Jamie, Irene Cipher, Skeet, Paul Hallett with a double cat eye, Bubblegum, Flor Morena, Jim Lon, Danielle, Nikki Zubs, and thanks for the nice compliment there earlier, Danielle. Nikki Zubs, Bubblegum, Ben Hills, Donnie R., Kristen Russell, WNC Granny, Arlene, Melissa South, Kristen Russell, Danielle, Sonia, Jen P. became a new member, Jan Brooks, Doohickey Cat Eye, thank you very much, Up North Gal, a new member, Jamie, Danielle, Cami Nielsen, Simple Life Days, Melissa South, Doohickey, Jamie, Lisa Valenzuela, Danielle again for the doggy cam, B. Tim, Caligal 3, Jessica Schubach, Yee, Tell Me More, Miss Skiss. Hey, how's it going, Miss Skiss? Caligal 3. Wait a second, I'm going to make sure Miss Skiss is in there. Pretty sure she was, but I don't remember typing that in. Caligal 3 with a cat eye, Lori Will, Christy, Ethan Opelt, he said thank you, there he was, missed that one. Snarky Cinderella, Danielle, Mr. Zeep, Daryl Montgomery, Jamie, Haley Lehman, and then Ann Solomon, a new member, Georgina Stoliker, Eugenie, Jamie, Doohickey, and Ann Solomon again with a little diamond, and Lisa Wilkerson with the cat eye right at the end there. And then we've got Lynn, or let's see, now I won't say her name, but on well, I can say it because I didn't say the last name. Sweet Caroline on PayPal, and Jamie Bailey, they both got notebooks. All right, man, we're getting these notebooks out the door. I'm almost have to order. I'm almost out of 50 of them that I just got. And so, you guys interested to keep digging into this one? I just want to make sure. I mean, wouldn't matter. I'd still do it anyways. But it seems like you guys are pretty interested in it. All right, good. I mean, it's, you know, there's something going on here. And I think when you listen to that memorial service and what he said right at the end. As a matter of fact, let's just play that one last time right at the end. I think it's something that people probably overlook a little bit.
All week?
Right here at the end.
Grant, I will always love you. I'm proud to be your dad. And I can't wait.
No, right here.
Isaiah 43:2. Act of love. There is great grief.
Right.
There is great love.
Where there's great grief, there's great love.
I have felt great grief all week, and of course I have, because...
Right. So here's the thing. That sentence right there, if I was somebody, I guarantee if you played that to the behavior panel...
There is great grief.
Now listen.
There is great love. I have felt great grief all week.
I felt great grief all week. Great. Okay, leave it there, right? But he didn't do that.
And of course I have.
But of course I have. Nobody was questioning you. Nobody was wondering if you had all week. What it means is you didn't feel grief all week and were feeling guilty inside and subconsciously threw that sentence out there. And then not only did you do that, you followed up with...
Because there is great love.
Okay, because there's great love. Yeah, I felt grief, and of course I felt it because I felt great love. All of that sounds bogus the way that came out. I just want you to think about yourself. If you were at a memorial service and there was somebody that you loved that died, and you said, "Man, I'm so filled with grief." And it's true too that I felt grief, because I loved him. Wow, I mean, give me a break, everybody. Nobody does that. That's not normal. Okay, and the whole thing is just cheesy as shit too. And at the end, the stupid, but that right there, to me, I don't normally do the body language and words and stuff. That's too unusual right there, and I think everybody can just see that. Nobody says that. That isn't reasonable. That isn't common sense. Nobody just says that. It's the same thing when Alec Murdaugh said, I wouldn't intentionally kill my wife and kid. Well, that's not what anybody asked you, okay? So that means you're admitting you killed them. It just wasn't you. You were on drugs when you killed them, right? So, all right, you guys. We're going to go over this one tomorrow, and maybe Angie can come on. And if not, she can come on another day, and we'll just do it again. I mean, just, we don't just stop one day unless there's nothing else to do, right? All right. Well, thank you guys very much for being here. Let's do the... how about we'll give away a notebook tonight. That's a pretty good prize because it costs $25 to send it to me, and then I ship it off. All right, so let's see. Oh, what am I looking at? Now, why are you guys typing in look at? Can I still not see? Let's see. I don't know. Let me see. Oh no, that's. Oh, there she is. Thank you so much. Oh, very cool. We played Gracie's comment. I mean, her video on YouTube. I hope that's okay. I figured you'd think it would be okay to do. Would you guys want to maybe both of you can? Are you interested in coming on tomorrow, both of you, and just talking about it? Would that be something you'd be interested in? I mean, we're going to be emailing with Ethan here in a minute, but man, I'm sorry you guys have had to go through that. What a nightmare. I don't know what the delay. Yeah, all's okay. Thank you to the person who let us know. We found out about midway through. And we just kind of went through the newspaper articles and so forth, Angie, and then started going through the timeline. We'll be doing that tomorrow. We also watched the thing that you see on the screen right now and your daughter's video on YouTube. Kind of played one after another. And then we've been going through the timeline. I've showed on Google Earth this is it right here, the location. And we're just kind of, I mean, even if you don't get something resolved for your son, it's going to be, you know, you guys need some justice yourself. I mean, this, what a freaking nightmare. And by the way, my brother's name is Grant. So immediately it was like, hey, got to do something. All right. Well, that's excellent. Hopefully, if you guys want, you can come on, though, Angie, and we'll see where it goes. We'll just have a conversation. It doesn't have to be anything, you know, nothing. If anything you don't want to say, you don't have to say. And you can just talk as much as you want. I'm not one of those people that in an interview just sits there and rambles on, in general. So, anyways, let's do the spin here. This is going to be for the notebook. All right, you guys, here we go. Shuffle, 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 and here comes the spin. Cali Gal 3. There you go. There you go. Cali Gal 3 is the winner. Excellent. Cali Gal 3. There's D Sims. She always goes to bed right around 9:30. So, hey, there you go. You survived almost until then. Let's see. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm looking forward to getting more information and putting the pieces together. And then maybe when it's all done, then I'll just make a video or something on it by going back over and listening to what's going on and just do a video and put it together, and you put it out there. And, you know, maybe you even forward it to their police department over there and say, what's going on, guys? This doesn't sound right. All right. Well, thank you all for being here tonight. And thank you, Angie, for showing up. And thank you, Ethan, for letting me know about the case. I've just been so busy with the Murdaugh trial that I haven't been able to really squeeze it in there. So thank you, guys. We'll see you tomorrow. And as I always say, everybody, until next time, be safe out there. And a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a... Yeah, I've been doing this
Gray, where's it going?
For quite a while now. Oh, we were just... and during this whole time,
covering
a case in one person. That is a...
What do you mean, Gray? Jeez.
Crime dissector, plug rejector. I'm a certified human lie detector. Gonna get ya on a stretcher if you try and play me like an old projector. Crime sector is my nectar. Professor Gray is gonna give another lecture. Crime collector, freak connector, and I'm always gonna be a pup protector, fool deflector, interceptor, and I'm meaner than a spectre with a vector on his pector. With all respect, y'all, just remember I've a temper for intention. I have no agenda, I'm no pretender, and I'll serve it to you straight without the blender. And in the end, I'm gonna send ya on a mission to reveal the true offender. Yeah, so I'll just get right back to work. All right, everybody, talk to you later. All right, and thank you to all the mods, and thank you all for supporting my channel. I really appreciate the support. Allows me to keep going, and allows us to donate a tremendous amount of money to various true crime related charities. All right, so thank you, and we'll see you tomorrow, and be safe out there.
You already said that, Gray. Gee.
I know I said it, but what am I supposed to say right at the end?
Good night, everybody. Gee.
Oh boy, here we go. Here we go.